Well, hello. I'm here. I appear to be here. You all appear to be here. Hello. How's everything going today? It's Sunday, which means, a lot of the time our Sunday streams tend to be a little bit more chill. Um, so, look forward to that. Always nice to have a chill stream. We definitely have some conversation topics, or at least one major conversation topic, but I'll get into that in a moment. Let me get my chat. Hello, chat. Where are you? Come back to me. Hello. There you are. Okay. Hello, Gay Fetish. Hello, Mersh. What's up, Baphomet? Huzzah, it is time. Yes. Hello, Kitty Tick. Happy Sunday indeed, Star Fox, the lone person hanging out in the YouTube chat. So, yeah, I mean, we had the holiday. That was a good time. I kept true to my word, and I did very little in the way of making it seem like a Thanksgiving dinner in particular. We had chicken breast, which is something that we do all the time. I had a little sweet potato pie, though. That was pretty good. I was going to do deviled eggs, and then I just didn't get around to it. Yeah, we just started. Hi, Alexandria, in the YouTube chat. What's up, Drea? Yay! So go ahead and hit the like button if you haven't already. This is the beginning of the show where I need to warm up my voice and we need to warm up the show. So we're just going to hang for a little bit. We'll talk about whatever. And then, kind of, the main topic of the day is MAID, is what it's called in Canada. But like the UK is trying to pass a, you know, death with dignity, right to die thing. And, they're like, oh, I trust me, bro, for real. It's only for terminal patients. But whatever. We'll talk about the minutia of it all. But basically, like, the UK is introducing a law. So there's discussion happening again. It feels like it happens every couple of months in the leftist communities. But anyway. Oh, let me get this back open. Yes. We're chilling. Today's chill vibes. Hopefully all of you had a decent holiday weekend and haven't had any, fights with conservative family members. That's always a bummer. We went and saw some conservative family members after, like the morning after, but didn't have a meal or anything. It's not my thing. I see people and I wear a mask when I do it. So that's the extent of any leaving my house. Indeed, Jesse. I agree. My body, my choice. Good stuff. It's, and the title, oh, we're talking about this again. It's funny that we could talk about anything, and we certainly can. It could be, about abortion. Like, okay, we're talking about this again. It could be about some law attacking trans people. And it'd be like, oh, we're talking about this again. We can talk about whatever we want with a title like this. Isn't that wonderful? I had Thanksgiving with my cousin that I haven't seen in a long time. And he was like, oh, hold on, I need to move this. And he was like, hey, do you know who I think was totally vindicated? Sam Harris. And I was just like, how much do I bite my tongue on Sam Harris? On the Islamophobia? On what? Goodness gracious. I'm dedicating today to hiding in blankets. Ooh, yes. They'll be in your lap all day. I'm sure that dogs would want to get in on it too. It's just not the same because the dog's not sitting there going, yeah, honestly, celebrate the Thanksgiving that you can spend by yourself. Oh, decorations have changed. I turned off this light because I was like, I don't want it to wash out the sparkly Christmas lights too much. But I also didn't give myself enough time before the show today to figure out these things. See, that's like so bright. Can I turn it down? And then it'll provide more ambiance and less blinding light, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, it's like snowy. Apparently, this light is way stronger than the other light. I should switch them around. I don't know. Anyway, now it's a winter wonderland back there. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, just got this stuff changed over. I don't have as many decorations for the altar space as I do for Halloween time. which is a little bit of a bummer. But I, you know, I do my best with the small area that I'm in. It was weird how difficult it felt to put up the lights earlier. Just this one string of lights, because I'm in packing mode mentally. Uh, I'm moving imminently, not like imminently, but like within the next 2 months, like absolutely within the next 2 months, month and a half, month, something like that. So happy December. So I'm just in mentally, I'm in packing mode. I'm like, oh, I need to go take these boxes and consolidate them and, make sure there's not anything in there that I really need, because I'm basically packing some boxes with the intention of like, I'm also not unpacking them after we get there. I'm like, oh, this is a box of stuff that I don't really use very much, or it's just knickknacks or something. Uh, it's the kind of stuff that I might put on a bookshelf if I had more space to display things or whatever. What, pray tell, are we talking about? Oh, for the time being, we're just chatting. For the time being, we're just catching up. And I'm talking about the fact that I'm about to move. So yeah, it took a little bit of effort to get myself out of that mode mentally and put up the lights, but I'm happy. I've got stockings up on the wall. I do still have one of my fall decorations. One of my pretty big fall decorations is still up, so I need to take that down. Transitioning into winter. And it has also decided to be winter in my area this week. It was like in the 60s, and then suddenly it's like, oh, now I've decided I'm going to be in the 30s. Like, okay, cool. What's up, Turtle Bird Me? My cousin, the Sam Harris defender, did not get into specifics. I mostly was just pointing out how I feel that his Islamophobia was being used in service of the war on terror. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. For sure. So I started deep cleaning also. So basically, yeah, like Thursday, I just chilled and we, played video games and I made dinner that like I would normally make. And then Friday, also mostly just been chilling. And then Saturday, yesterday was when we were like, okay, we're going to start cleaning the apartment, like cleaning the parts of the rental that we can get to. Because obviously we're going to have to vacuum the whole floor when we move all of our furniture. But for I was like, let's start with like light fixtures and stuff along those lines. So that was mostly yesterday. Big day. Just kind of trying our best to deep clean certain parts of my house. And yeah, that's going to continue over the next few weeks. Crunch time is going to be January. Also fun times. I'm probably going to actually physically apply for apartments this week. See what's available. I've already been looking to see what's available in the kind of area that we're looking to move to. So yeah, I think that now is the time, because I'm kind of expecting, if our lease is up here at the end of January and we're willing to move in basically anytime during the month of January, apartments are just now starting to send out, would you like to renew your lease notices for apartments that are going to become available at that time. So yeah, I was basically like, it seems like the first week of December is probably going to be when you start getting lots of postings. So that way you have at least some selection to choose from, some options. So yeah, that's this week. Suddenly it's here and I have to spend money applying for apartments. So it's exciting though. It's just getting very real. So that's where I'm at mentally. I'm packing, I'm cleaning, I'm about to start applying at places. I'm like taking stuff to Goodwill, I'm getting rid of furniture. That's the zone that I'm in right now. And aside from that, I have a video that I'm still working on. I expected to get a little bit more done this weekend than I did get done, but honestly, I'm kind of cool with giving myself a little tiny break. So the video will be coming out hopefully later in this week. So I have a couple more. I have some editing stuff I need to finish. Like I need to basically do all of the sound design and music for it. Um the visual edit is more or less done. I'm adding a little bibliography part to like so if I show on the screen something um like a clip from a movie or something, I'm going to be a good YouTuber and put like a little thing that goes across here and it'll say what the movie is or like what the episode of the TV show is or whatever. So still need to finish that, but other than that, like most of the visual editing is done. Sound design still needs to be done. Uh, so that will be probably ready like Tuesday, and then I need to workshop titles and thumbs. So basically, I'm expecting the video for this week to come out like later in the week. To the extent that I might, I don't know. I was about to say I might skip stream to work on Wednesday, and then I'm like, I don't know. Watch out for apartment scams. I'm sure you already know, but I'm writing a paper right now about when and where scammers target people, and out-of-staters looking for apartments at New Year's is high target season. Yeah, I have definitely been sensitive to that. Do you have like a quick top 3 tips for how to avoid or what to look out for with apartment scams? I kind of know what I look for in general, but or like anybody who's like, is there anything suspicious? Like, if a place wants you to apply before you can get a tour, and I did see an ad that was like that. That to me seems really sus. I wouldn't do that. Um, do you, do you guys, it would probably be a good idea to at least get a FaceTime actual physical tour from a person. But I don't know if that is, I don't know if I'm going to go all the way to that. Like, if there's a virtual tour and pictures and reviews and people on Reddit say, oh, yeah, this is a real apartment complex and it's fine. And, like, that's kind of the barometer that I'm using to measure is I'm looking, like, on the website. I look on the property management website as well as the website that I use to search up places. And then I'll go to Reddit or something and be like, is there a community feedback about this particular rental company or whatever? So those are kind of some things that I'm trying to be aware of, as I know that people will try to like, yeah, just get you to pay for the application fee. Like, you could take hundreds of applications and you could end up ultimately deciding to lease it to someone. I know that there's people who are like, oh yeah, it's just a scam in the sense that there is no rental waiting for you at all. But yeah, and then it is just I've seen some people claim, oh, landlords have to pay a fee for having your background check and stuff done. I just really doubt that it's as expensive as they charge for. I've seen some places only charging $35 and other places charging $65 per person. So if you have multiple people moving, then you have to pay that for each person. So it's kind of like, is the $35 person running like a shittier background check, or is the person charging $65 just charging almost double for the sake of profiting that much money? I don't know. If people say they can't do a walkthrough, that's a red flag. Asking for money up front, stuff like that. Look into the management firm to confirm it's real. Call that phone number to make sure they actually listed that apartment and it's not someone else just stealing the name. Yes, that's a good idea too. That's why, yeah, like I've been looking for like availability on the listing site, and then I go to the property website, and then I'm looking like, okay, does it say that it has a unit available at that same date that I was seeing on the other thing? So like if it's actually on the property management website, that seems a lot more legit to me. There are 51 viewers, only 26 likes. Can we get some likes in here? I'm just going to kind of babble about whatever I want to talk about for a while here. And then we'll start talking about more serious things later on. But like, this is my stream and I like to shit talk. So one thing, I find it really frustrating that places that like rentals that have 1.5 bathrooms list themselves as a 2-bathroom place. I don't know if it's like a limitation of the software on their end or on the website on their end, but like it's a real pet peeve of mine because I'm looking for a place with 2 full bathrooms. At least like they each have to have a shower. I don't need a tub in each one, but they at least have to have a shower. And yeah, the number of places that are just like, JK, only 1.5 bath. I'm like, okay. I'm trying to have 2 bathrooms discrete from each other. And it's just, man, it's so frequent. It's so bothersome to me. Is the website working? Are you just all very quiet today? Do you just all have very little commentary today, or is the website broken? Because I haven't seen any comments from you guys in a minute. Oh my gosh, my hair. Need a haircut. Big time need a haircut. Nomadic says a local historical term for someone who moves to the PNW is called a mossback. Really? I have never heard that. That's very fun though. Orange Nugget has been talking about rounding us up and throwing us in concentration camps. Really? I had not heard that. Okay, you are still in there. Okay. Chat is alive. I was paying bills because it's the first. Yeah. My bills are throughout the month. Thankfully, I guess, instead of having to like have a huge chunk of money all at once. Been a long weekend. Yeah, I guess you all have been socializing too much. And now it's like socially depleted at the end of Thanksgiving weekend. I'm so gay for a good bathtub. Right? I'm like a relatively tall human person, and I haven't had a proper bath in a very long time. Are you considering a 1950s era houses or before? Many of them have tiny bathrooms, and having a second bathroom is rare in those places, particularly true if it's a ranch-style house. Yeah, so I'm just looking at whatever is available to rent. Like, I'm not trying to get into a house particularly. I like townhouses, but it's just kind of whatever. How tall? Me, about 5.5 feet. Which is, like, just too long. Well, I mean, I guess depending if it's like a slightly larger than average bath, it's not too bad. You have the boobs and knees problem, you know? Everybody's talking about Wicked. I still haven't seen Wicked. I don't know if I will. Like, as a person who isn't a fan of it, and I'm not saying that I don't like it, I just haven't seen it, and I don't know if I'm a fan. Like, I didn't listen to the original music very much, so I don't know. It's like about friendship, right? It's a story about friendship, social dynamics. I don't know. But yeah, I know that lots of people have been talking about it. We're at 60 viewers, but only 32 likes. Those are rookie numbers. Rookie numbers. Can we pump those numbers up, please? The likes help the show immediately. if I can't count on you to hit like on the stream, how can I count on you to hit like when I publish a video and I need it to do well? Wicked is best told as a story about how people can change or choose to stay the same. Good stuff. It is told through the view of two women who become friends. Nice. Like, yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about watching oh god, the documentary with Will Ferrell and his friend Harper is on Netflix, I believe, and I was thinking about watching that and maybe giving like my kind of initial feelings, or maybe I'll create an outline but not a strict script and have that video come out after the Dragon review video. And then the next video after that does need to be a proper Dragon review video, which might not come out until sometime in January, depending on when I move. But yeah, so that's kind of the schedule looking ahead in the next couple of videos for me. Is like, yeah, this first video is the intro to the Dragon review series. And then, yeah, probably review the Harper movie and at least give some initial impressions of it. And then the first in the Dragon review series to just kind of like cement that in. Dragon video, yeah. And I need to decide. I had you guys vote on Patreon on what video you wanted me to do first, like what movie you wanted me to do first. And I haven't oh my god, my brain just emptied out. But I haven't decided like if I want to do Dragonheart or I don't know. I feel like I should start with like a classic Dragon movie that lots of people are familiar with. And I don't know what that is. If I want to do like a very specific traditional dragon. Taking a long way through Kansas City. Nice. Skeptoideus, thank you for the $5 super chat. Lux makes stream, I watch stream. I'm a simple-brained sissy boy like that. True, I assume. You said it, so I'm gonna assume that it's true. But thank you. Oh, by the way, so yes, we did just get our first donation of the day, which is great. You all know what the secret is, right? This is what happens when we get to the stream goal, is I open this box and I show you what's inside. Well, we had a couple of streams where we didn't get to the goal and we didn't open the box. So clearly the item that was in here was not lucky. And now I've taken it out. And now there's a new item in here. And you don't get to know what the old item was. So sad. And the item that's in here right now, I don't want to leave in there, so I'm probably going to take it out at the end of the stream today too. And it may or may not make another appearance. So that's what's on the line today. Oh, thank you for the $2. $1.99 from Young Black Economist. Thank you. It's very sweet of y'all. I know that rent is due, so any generosity at this time of month is greatly appreciated. Oh, goodness gracious. I keep that open over here. Oh my god, they're doing the live action fucking Moana thing, and I just find it such a bummer. Is Godzilla a dragon? Okay, that is a really interesting question. Okay, Dragon Slayer, Dragonheart, or Pete's Dragon. Yeah. Is Dragon Slayer on my list? Let me make sure. I'm sure that it must be, but I don't know. Nope, incorrect. Movies. Okay, I have The Last Dragon Slayer from 2016, and I have Dragon Slayer 1981. Okay, so I think Dragonheart is probably going to be the natural place to start. But yeah, is Godzilla a dragon? Um, I don't think any dragons walk on 2 feet bipedally. Oh my goodness. These are just going to start rolling in now. Turtle Bird Me gave 10 gifted memberships. Thank you very much. And so it's just going to take a minute to all flow in here and make a bunch of noise. I will not be watching it. Wait, are you talking about How to Train Your Dragon? I refuse to watch any more live action remakes. I've been kind of boycotting them since they started being a thing that happens. But yeah, Godzilla, I mean, so keeping in mind, like, Godzilla is like an Eastern story, right? It's like originally a Japanese movie. And dragons in the Eastern tradition tend to represent like luck and wisdom, and not like, it's common in early Western depictions that dragons kind of it's a representation of like chaos or natural forces that are like insurmountable. But so I don't know if Godzilla would be considered. Godzilla is a dinosaur. Lots of dragons were inspired by dinosaur fossils in antiquity. Okay, see, I think that that's fair. I think I would be comfortable saying that Godzilla is a dinosaur. I think that's an easy question to answer, but if he's a dragon, I don't think so. He is a mutant, not a dragon. Or wait, is there supposed to be an... Oh, or were you saying Dragon Slayer 2016 you wouldn't watch because... Is there a remake of something else? I missed something. I have Harry Potter on this list, and then I put in parentheses, ugh. Because, like, technically there's dragons in Harry Potter movies. I agree, Ancom Psycom. The How to Train Your Dragon remake looks terrible. They basically used the exact same 3D model for Toothless with a more detailed texture and didn't make Hiccup look nearly scrawny enough. Yeah, my friend Dizzy was complaining about it because, as someone with some knowledge of animation, Dizzy was pointing out that like Toothless is a highly stylized dragon that fits in with the stylized art of the movie. And like, he looks the way that he does because Hiccup looks the way that he does, and so they're stylized together. But when you take away the stylization of Hiccup and he's just a normal dude, the dragon's animation style no longer works. So yeah, I think it's a cynical cash grab. The only good thing about the How to Train Your Dragon live action movie is that it gives me an opportunity to time the marketing of my videos. So I know, okay, when the How to Train Your Dragon movie is about to come out, I need to work on my How to Train Your Dragon rating the dragons video, which might end up being like a 2-parter because there are a ton of dragons in the whole thing. Or maybe like I'll rate the dragons in the first part, and I don't know. I'll fucking figure it out. So it presents an opportunity for marketing for me to be like, okay, so I'm going to review the How to Train Your Dragon original movie at the same time that the live action one comes out. And then like a month or two after the live action one comes out, I'll be able to make the follow-up, video about the How to Train Your Dragon live action movie, which I'm sure will be so much fun. According to Wikipedia, Godzilla was a dinosaur mutated by nuclear weapons. Yep, makes perfect sense. Wyverns are two-legged dragons. Yeah, sorry, Jay. I meant to say, like, standing on their back legs bipedally. I may have gotten distracted in the middle of my sentence, but yeah, typically if dragons have 4 limbs, then they're usually quadrupedal. If dragons, sorry, well, if they have 2 arms and 2 legs, they're usually quadrupedal. And then if they have back legs and arms, or back legs and wings, I guess. I'm having trouble with my words today. The Ritalin is, I did not take it today. But also those animals are bipedal, or sorry, quadrupedal, because they tend to walk on their wings also. That's like one of the things that makes wyverns different, is that they walk using their wings like a bat does. Looking forward to that series. A member of our system is very partial to dragons, and she's been yapping our ears off since you mentioned that. Nice. Yeah, well, so expect to see the intro video this week, and the next one, fuck, if I can get it out in January, that would be great, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So February, probably. Random question. Have you ever raided the dragon from Dragonheart? I guess you must have just come in, Ancom Psycom, because I was just saying that I think that makes sense to be the very first video in the series. Like, I'm making a video that is setting up the series. And then the first video, like, I haven't decided what movie I'm doing, but I think that Dragonheart makes the most sense. Agree. Wyverns are the most realistic dragon build. True. True. I have strong opinions about this. The proto-drakes in WoW do that whole wyvern walk, but they also have little T-Rex arms. Wait, do they? Do they have little T-Rex arms? But yeah, they do. They pick up their wings and they walk on their back feet. It's super cute. Didn't realize this was a new series. Yeah, so on my main channel, Ancom Psycom, typically what I have been doing for the last couple years was taking bits off of stream and clipping them and uploading them to my channel. But now I'm doing scripted, or at least outlined, pre-recorded content I'm going to be, like, editing it and making it nice and everything. So, yes, that is new. Agree, wyverns are also the most evolutionarily sensible dragon variant. They're the only ones. The only ones. The Dragons of Pern distinguishes between 4-limbed creatures, humans and quadrupedal mammals, and 6-limbed dragons and fire lizards. No wyverns on Pern. Yeah, I've heard good things about Pern. I haven't read them, but I have heard good things. I was basically told, based on the fact that I was, like, the series that I like to listen to, The Inheritance Cycle, is very similar to Dragons of Pern. I have been told. Most pterosaurs walked in that manner. Back legs and wings. Listen. Don't take all of my talking points from the video that I'm making right now. Kitty Tick has a baby right now, so we tend to just ignore the spelling issues from Kitty. Wasn't there some prehistoric gliding reptile species that had their back legs as, quote, wings? I don't know. That's a great question. Back leg wings, dinosaur. Yeah, it's called the Charoviterix from the mid-Triassic. Yeah, this is it. It had back wings on its leggy wings. Is there a better picture? Here's some pictures. So, pretty much. Yeah, we found it. Dragons of Pern is sci-fi. Inheritance Cycle is fantasy, more or less. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that Pern was sci-fi. That's cool. I don't know if reading stuff is going to become more of what I do with my time, but certainly gonna be watching more movies and TV shows. Gotta drink water, y'all. I just love this crotch bird lizard. Just still looking at pictures of this Charoviterix. I know. All I want for Christmas is a pet dragon. The mention of Inheritance Cycle gave me war flashbacks to middle school. No, listen. There's a new book that came out. You should check it out if you read them when you were young. Oh wow, is this okay? So I hold on. Wait. So I used to listen to the band My Chemical Romance, and I recently saw a band picture that had only 4 of the band members that I remember from when I was a kid. Like the drummer was missing, and I was like, weird. Wonder what happened to him. Wonder what happened to Bob. Um. Oh, so this is hot and fresh news. Okay. Okay, hold on. Is this a real tweet though? Okay, so this is a screenshot from an account. Like it was posted by someone who is a comedian. So I'm like, I don't know if this is just like purely unmanipulated, but this person this is the comedian account over here, obviously. But someone says he tweeted this and then died. I'm crying. I'm just happy we can use the word tranny again. I don't care who hates me anymore. Fight me. This post has been deleted. This was from October 29th, 2024. So this year, like about a month ago. And then literally today, former My Chemical Romance drummer Bob Breyer has died at the age of 44. Like, and I Googled that, and he is dead. Like, first of all, so I obviously the photo that I saw must have been because he left the band for some other reason. Was he becoming one of those weird Trump guys? And like, because if he's off, if he's out here using anti-trans slurs, you know that bigotry tends to come along with other bigotries. People tend to not be just transphobic. If they're transphobic, you will also find often that they are racist or anti-Semitic or like, take your pick. But there's gonna be a handful of them at least, if not just like the full complement of bigotries. So okay, he fell down the alt-right pipeline, IARC. Wow, that's so weird. But also, haha, rest in piss. Wow. And he died at age 44, which, like, I know that everybody is tired of me saying it, but it's probably from something COVID related. Why did he die? Tell me. Tell me, internet. Tell me, great internet. No information about the cause of death was disclosed. I guess Bob left the band over his wrist having an injury. Okay. What's the topic? Hello. I don't know that I ever asked how to pronounce this. But anyway, Astra, hi. Um, right now we just were discussing that My Chemical Romance drummer died, or their former drummer died, and also he just posted something transphobic a month ago on Twitter. He spent the last 10 years as a real estate agent. Really? Could be drug overdose. Yeah, of course. Astraenomine. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh gosh. Thank you, Moira. Moira Bannister for the $5 says, so true. Bigotry seldom walks alone. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that generous super chat. That puts us at $12 for today. If we get to $100, we will find out what's in the box. And what's in the box might not be in there next time. If we don't open it, I might take it out, put it away. And then there will be something new in the box next time. Changing legal again, too. Nice. I was thinking I might change legal after I move. Kind of depends. I try to tell people when someone is being racist, then they wave me off. Like, look, if someone is very racist enough for me to point it out, there are probably also many other unsavory things. Yeah, like if someone's racist, yeah, they could possibly also be homophobic, transphobic, and then want to pollute waterways on top of that. Yes, Myra, you did miss some talk about dragons and wyverns, but don't worry, because the video that I'm uploading this week, probably like Thursday or Friday, is going to be about dragons. So look forward to that. We could talk about so many different things. I guess Bob had a drum business in Gladstone, Missouri. Wow. Wow. All right. I've not heard that, kitty tick. Man, winter is upon us. It's crazy. Ugh. It's a little old in the news, but I recently heard. Yeah, no. Mormon hero behind the story that created the Sound of Freedom has been accused of being a human trafficker. I did not hear about that. I think that's the first time you've called me Myra instead of Mira. I think Moira earlier set me up for... Is it Mira? I don't know. My brain. My brain? I'm pretty much expecting to just be like nonstop busy for the next month and a half. I have been recording a podcast with Gay Fashion Demon Mama, which there's going to be, it's Mira. Okay, cool. There's going to be new videos of that the next 2 weeks. No, sorry, not the next 2 weeks. It's twice a month. Or once a month? Once a month we upload. So there's going to be another one coming out next month. Or I guess it's December now, so it'll be sometime this month. And then, so we need to record a couple more, which is fun. And also it's work. So it's like podcast, moving, cleaning, which is, I guess, part of moving, and continuing to make content twice a month, every 2 weeks. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, Ben Jules, it is apparently old news that the Sound of Freedom guy is bad. I hadn't heard about any of this, and then Kitty Tick in the chat was telling me about it. And points out that it is old news. Moira Bannister with another $10 super chat. Thank you. She confirms, yes, the Sound of Freedom a-hole is a serial SA offender, according to his abusers. Sorry, his accusers. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Thank you very much for the super chat. I don't know anything about this. I've just happened to not be in the thick of whatever that is. Ooh, Mira says, I'm not the biggest fan of winter, and we just got our lowest temps of the season so far last night. I went right online to get some fur boots and a jacket with Cyber Monday deals. Yeah. I was just thinking, oh, I should probably get some good snow boots. And then I realized I'm about to move somewhere where the winter is like pretty mild. I'm sure that there's very occasionally snow, but it's not very cold, which is part of the appeal. That's part of why I'm moving up to the Pacific Northwest, because it doesn't get particularly cold. So yeah, I want to be active outdoors, but I don't need to get a new pair of snow boots necessarily. Maybe I'll wait until next winter. But I really, really, really would like to start taking walking/hiking seriously. And there's just not really a good way to do it where I am currently located. And then also, again, it requires me having like gear that I don't have. Wind is the real killer in the PNW, yeah. Yes, you have seen me on the line. I am on the Transatlantic call-in show for the line on Thursdays. Obviously, we did not do a Transatlantic call-in show on Thanksgiving, but we are supposed to do one this week. I do not know if I'm going to be on it this week. We have not gotten the December schedule yet, but hopefully I'll find out in the next couple of days. And then I don't know if I'm going to be on it very much in January. I'll try to be on there at least like the first week in January, if I can. And then I might have to take the rest of January off, unfortunately. Excuse me. Kara Burrell has been doing lots of really good journalism about the Sound of Freedom guy. She's an ex-Mormon activist. Cool. Nuance Ho. I love that username. 32 today. It was 90 just a week ago. Whew. Sheesh. That's crazy. I struggled to afford a Shark hardwood floor cleaner. Finally got it a couple months ago, and then a week ago, my mother-in-law made the comment, what are you trying to do with the place? A lot of trash has to go. When Bestie got back from visiting her parents, she returned with an iRobot replacing our Shark floor vac, and then delivered to the apartment a replacement for my hardwood floor cleaner. It's a Dyson, something I could never dream of affording, and Bestie does not understand why I feel so hurt that none of my feelings were considered in this quote gift. Oh, like you had already saved up to buy your own floor cleaner, and then they're like, well, whatever, you can just use this nicer floor cleaner. And you're like, okay, well, but you don't recognize that you're just kind of getting rid of the effort that I put in to afford this cheaper version. Like, where was this help a couple months ago when I was struggling to afford even this basic floor cleaner, much less this nicer floor cleaner? Yeah, I mean, I could see being upset about it, but I would also probably just like get over it myself. Like, I would be like, yeah, that's really generous of them, even if they didn't communicate it in a way that was like wanted. After making the comment that our apartment was filled with trash. Yeah, that's definitely some juxtaposition, like generous behavior, but not being nice about your apartment. Yeah, I could see being bummed out about it for sure. And you don't have to accept kindnesses is the thing too. You don't, if someone's like trying to do something nice for you, you don't have to be like, I'm going to accept this. but it's difficult socially sometimes. So definitely doesn't sound fun. Just got here. I'm knitting. It's knitting time. My brain is so not in the zone for it, but I kind of wish that I did have something that I was crocheting right now. I haven't crocheted in like a couple of weeks. I have not messed with it at all. I made a scarf and I made oh my God, what do you call it? Like a shawl um recently, and then I haven't made anything since then. I guess I put like quite a lot of effort into the shawl. It's so heavy. It's it's the biggest thing I've crocheted for myself, and I have showed it to you on stream. It's like that. It's like a cream color, big triangle shape thing, and it kind of goes over my shoulders. So comfy. It's a little bit itchy. It needs to be washed and softened if I can. But yeah, I'm so not in the craft mode. So I'm glad that Soy Boy, you are getting some craft time in. A $200 pair of La Sportiva hiking boots bought in 2017 is still holding up. Nice. I'm trying my first tea of my tea advent calendar I was gifted this year. Oh, that's gorgeous. I just recently become a person who likes tea, and it's so strange. There's 69 viewers. That's nice. Can we get 69 likes on the show? Oh my God. Oh, my face is so itchy. The one thing about having the heat on is that it's dry. That's the one really shit thing about it. I guess that does give me the excuse to just boil like scented things to humidify the air. I've done that before. I was like, there have been times where I'm like, it's too dry in here. And so I go boil away. The last time I did it, I think it was a little bit overspiced. I put like an entire stick of cinnamon in and a couple other things. No worries, Soy Boy. I just don't know how to knit. I probably would figure out projects that work for knitting if I knew how to do it, but I'm not good at it. And my knitting needles are kind of fucked up. I probably should just get a set of knitting needles and try it out. Anyway, why do I feel like you would rock a cravat with that fit? I would rock a cravat with my robe. I guess. Yeah. Like a nice little Erie and Buffalo are getting shit on by the lake effect snow again. I think I did just see some people talking about how they had gotten like 3.5 feet in somewhere on the East Coast. I can't remember where it was. Am I remembering correctly? Is that what this is? Climate change? 4 million under winter storm alerts as snow buries Buffalo and the rest of the Great Lakes region. More than 4 million people across 5 states were under winter storm alerts on Sunday. Heavy lake effect snow has continued to bury the Great Lakes region, prompting emergency declarations and the deployment of National Guard troops to rescue stranded motorists. Another day of intense lake effect snow bans is expected on Sunday, especially in western New York, which has already received more than 40 inches of snow since Thursday and is expecting up to 24 more inches on Sunday into Monday. Yeah. New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. It is just going to get more extreme. Didn't I also just see someone in the Discord server talking about a tropical storm on the West Coast? Like a tropical storm that hit the PNW? Or that was going to? And they're not supposed to be tropical storms in the Pacific Northwest. And a strong extratropical cyclone hit the Pacific Northwest on November 19th. Hmm. I'm just north of Buffalo and have nothing because that's how the lake effect works. So it's just a super localized snow. Wow. A lot of Seattle and Vancouver were left without power recently. I feel intuitively like the Willamette Valley would be relatively protected because there is the coastal mountain range, and then the Willamette Valley. And so it just seems like it should be better in like Eugene, but I don't know. Yeah, tropical storms on the West Coast are historically super rare, but at this point anything's possible. Yeah, that it's kind of scary that okay, we already have like a lot of things that we know could get worse, but maybe it's just cuz I'm not like deeply into climate change research, but I like I did not even consider that tropical storms might be something I would have to deal with if I moved up to the Pacific Northwest. So just I don't know if someone predicted that that was going to start happening and I just didn't hear about it, or if this is an like a freak unpredicted thing that's going to start happening now. You know, like it's one thing for me to go, okay, I know that it's going to get more dry, or I know that that there's going to be floods near certain rivers or whatever. Like obviously where I currently live, we have not only the risk of drought, but the risk of flood is associated with that because it floods more easily if the ground is not wet. Uh, but yeah, for it to be like, oh, this is something that was kind of not expected at all. It's like it's kind of scary. I think we hit a record low 3 times this week. There's going to be a huge environmental change where a lot of cold sensitive species that rely on our warm winters to survive are going to make the invasives more annoying too. A lot of native stuff might die off. Oh, and you're right up, you're like pretty close to the coast. We're getting warmer summers and colder winters. Also, with the retreating sea ice, the North Pacific is warming up. Crab takes have been down for 10 years, writing been on the wall. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I knew that no place was going to be unaffected. But, like, the agricultural output in the Willamette Valley is predicted to increase over the next couple of decades instead of decrease. So, that's like one of the main things that I was looking at. Yeah, that feeling when your conservative family members are talking about how weird it is that it's still warm at this time of year, but don't think climate change is a thing. Yeah, like, wow, why is it so much warmer now than it was 20 years ago? I wonder. Windstorms been getting wild up in Oregon and California. Fun. Yeah, it's gonna hit everywhere. Like, there's nowhere where it's gonna be unaffected. That's what fucking global warming means, you know? Like, it just doesn't matter where you are. There's going to be crazy shit happening, or at least shit that you've never dealt with before. So, yeah. It snowed in Kansas this weekend. I was actually kind of excited about that. I don't know what has happened to me that I've become a person who likes snow. But and then I'm moving to somewhere where there's relatively little snow in the winter, which is a little bit of a bummer. We keep getting tornadoes in the mountains. Jesus fucking Christ. We will actually be one of the regions getting more wet from this versus less. The shape of Alaska moved storms down to us. summers are getting bad. Yeah, that is something that I have considered. Like, and like even in a place where the summers are relatively nice, it's still gonna get hot. Like you guys get 90-degree days in the Pacific Northwest, which is crazy. It seems like it shouldn't happen, but like, welcome to fucking global climate change. We go to the mountains for snow. There was a drought in 49 of the 50 states a couple weeks ago. Alaska was the only one without a drought, whereas they are facing mudslide risks. Jesus, it's something everywhere you go. It's something everywhere you go. We run into wet bulb situations often, so be sure you actually have AC. Yeah, I yeah, that's one of the things I'm gonna have to really pay attention to is like there have to be at least wall units, like window units, in whatever place I move into because I get so overheated easily. We've lost old people the last 3 summers who have lived without AC for 50 years. So they are not ready. They're not prepared. That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah, we're not acclimated for this. And it turns out that past like 83 degrees Fahrenheit, if we have high enough humidity, human beings are not really capable of cooling down anymore. How much are you trying to save up to afford a place? I mean, we're just renting for now. So we have the GoFundMe, which is still open, and the goal on the GoFundMe is 15,000. The part of the reason why it's so high is because my partner is going to have to buy his own power tools. Well, he already has some, but he's going to need to buy more of his own power tools because currently he works at a place that owns the power tools that he uses for work. So he's going to have to be, more like self-employed probably. And yeah, I have like money that I'm going to pull out of a savings thing from a previous job. Like I've been saving money as well. That's wildly high for moving. Yeah, well, it's not just the moving. Yeah. But also taking into consideration, we're going to have to get a U-Haul. Not just the U-Haul, but we're also going to have to pay to tow my vehicle. And we're going to drive around the Rocky Mountains because we're moving in January. And everybody has told me that it's a very bad idea to just drive straight through the Rocky Mountains. So we're going to drive down. We're basically adding like, I don't know. I didn't actually calculate it. Like we're adding probably at least 600 miles to the whole trip. It's already like a 2,000. Yeah, we have a lot of like tools and stuff that like I'm gonna get rid of a decent amount of like our furniture, but yeah, unfortunately we do have to move a lot of our belongings, like several computers and yeah, all of my partner's tools and toolboxes. You could probably buy a mobile home for around 10 to 20K, probably get a loan from it. Possibly, yeah. I haven't started looking into buying shit at this point. Like obviously that's the goal in future. Um but for the time being it's just like yeah. And in the Pacific Northwest, like first month's rent and often you have to pay security deposit. Sometimes you also have to pay last month's rent. Um yeah, like and I'm moving with several people. It's not like I'm just getting into my car and I get to like crash on someone's couch until I get an apartment. It has to be like everything has to be fully ready when we get there for like there to be several people able to have space and be supported and like start immediately looking for jobs and shit. Most folks I know have been selling everything off to move light and just rebuy or use the libraries to get stuff until they can reafford. Yeah, Yeah, it's like uh several generations worth of tools. And yeah, mostly I have been getting rid of a lot of stuff though. Like this I kind of like this time of year for this reason. It is definitely a purge time of year. You know, as you bring the plants inside, then you're like, okay, I don't have all this space. So you start like taking stuff to the Goodwill, dropping stuff off. Like, yeah. And it may be that we don't end up needing like all the space in the biggest um Penske truck or U-Haul or whatever, even though we're probably still going to get the biggest one just in case. I got a mobile home for 10K. It turned out to be a shithole. 'Tis the beauty of buying your first house. True. I wonder what kind of tech could be created in the future that could help reverse climate change, assuming we don't stop causing it sometime soon. Yeah, I think part of the problem with technology that's meant to reverse climate change is that companies tend to use those things as an excuse to continue like doing the pollution in the first place, if that makes sense. Uh like these companies consider it carbon offset. They're like, "Oh, well, we're offsetting some of the carbon that we're putting out." Like I don't yeah, I don't know. I don't enjoy the profit motive associated with this. You know what I mean? As someone who's moved across the country 4 times, travel light and take your time. Try and enjoy the trip. Stop and eat lots of good food too. I do want to enjoy the trip. I see this as I'm so strictly utilitarian, like so much of the time. I'm not really planning because we've kind of planned like, I mean, we could change it, but we've kind of planned 3 12-hour days, and that is based on Google Maps assumption of zero traffic and you're in a car that can go the speed limit. Um, so yeah, I have mostly just been like, we have to fucking go and get there. Have you considered enough time to set aside for when y'all fall apart once you feel safe? A couple of our comrades ended up using like 1.5 months of vacation hours due to once they got out of Texas and settled in, they started decompressing and then freaking out. Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm not really expecting that, I guess. Um, but, you know, obviously lost wages are part of it too. I'm going to probably take off like bare minimum 2 weeks where I'm not going to be streaming or really working on anything. Like strictly just like putting shit in a U-Haul, deep cleaning anything I haven't already deep cleaned in my house, and then driving for approximately 3 to 4 days and then unpacking everything. Like, yeah, I'm expecting to be out of commission for at least a couple weeks, but I'm not really expecting, like, I might give myself an extra week, uh, but that's like a lot of income to lose out on. Any advice not to go doomer? Yeah, do things that you have control over. Like I have control over moving and I'm the one who's making a lot of the executive decisions about it, so it helps to just like exercise a sense of control over things. Like that's my number one advice, I would say. Just focus on things that you actually have control over and then exert control over those things. Bake yourself something or, you know, indulge or go for a run or something. I don't know. There's a lot of different things you can do. Agree, yes. So long as capitalism determines technological development, it will not save us. There's 74 viewers right now, 67 likes. We're so close. I mean, like, necessarily, capitalism decides what is, like, we do things in capitalism based on what is profitable, not on what is good for people. And so far, it is obviously not profitable to do things that are good for the environment. Like, I've had someone who is in the electrical business tell me that he did not like solar panels because you don't continue to make eternal profit off of it. Like there comes a certain point with with solar that if you have it on enough people's houses, nobody is profiting off of it anymore, except for, maybe solar installation repair guys, probably still making money. But at a certain point, it starts feeding energy back into the grid, and you can't charge for it because it's not a finite resource. I mean, it literally is on a long-term scale, but on a short-term scale, it's basically an infinite resource. So yeah, like, it seems as though capitalism is the mechanism that is preventing the technological development that could save us. Even dumb shit, like even small stuff like packaging. Do I have anything at my desk right now? Yeah. So like, I have a package. It's a protein bar, right? And like, maybe there's a version of this. This is plastic. Maybe there's a version of this that's like wax or paper or something along those lines, or even a more eco-friendly plastic. But like, or maybe we as a society need to just stop selling single serving stuff. Maybe instead we should sell like a whole tray of those, like and you have to at home cut it into the correct size bars. So yeah, and like you have to pay more if you buy the thing that's from the organic or the hippie company. They have usually more eco-friendly packaging, but it's more expensive, and the eco-friendly packaging is part of what makes it more expensive. We could be producing less plastic, but because it's super cheap, we would, as a society, as a social system, prefer to keep producing shitty single-use plastics, basically. Liam recommends solar punk content being good to produce hopeful outcomes in us. On log road trips, I do think taking time on parallel roads off the highway when possible just to keep driving morale up is good. And yeah, things take longer than planned for anyway. Yeah. Like, presently, I was looking at like a 3-day thing because it was suggested to me that I should drive basically from where I am in Kansas City down to Albuquerque and then up into Nevada and then up and over and down into Portland. But yeah, like maybe it would be a better idea if I figured out a way to chunk that down into 4 days instead. Like maybe the fourth day is like a really short day or something, but Sanding spatulas in prep for finish while watching the stream. Nice. I need to sand down my bamboo cookware. Trash Discourse, a non-binary leftist channel, has a part in one of their videos as to why single-use plastic is sometimes necessary for some people, like disabled people. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's like not a good thing sometimes. Like obviously single-use sterile things are good to use in the medical situations, but that is not, that doesn't address like the huge amount of consumption that we do. If we were only doing that kind of consumption in the medical field and for the use of like disabled people or old people or whatever, that would be different. But like the mass production of single-use plastics, all I can say is that commercial drivers are legally limited to 10 hours for a reason, and 10 hours is grueling. Yeah. We're going to be driving through a lot of places that I've never been before, so I'm expecting it to be at least somewhat stimulating. And we'll do we'll have like an audiobook on or something. How much plastic is necessary just because our shipping methods are shitty? These are good questions. It's good to remain skeptical of these things. You're literally driving. I'm driving longer than 2,000 miles. It would be 2,000 miles if I drove through the Rockies. I don't even know. I'm going to have to figure out, just for the sake of my own curiosity, how many miles I'm actually going to be driving. But yes, I should try to take my time and make it as stress-free as possible. Definitely plan some interesting and fun stops. It's a gorgeous part of the country. The problem is, like, I don't even know if there's anywhere for me to stop that first day. Like, Albuquerque was the first planned stop on the route that was recommended to me by Kitty Tick, actually. Or maybe it was Drea. It might have been one of you. But it's like driving down through Oklahoma and Texas and then ending up in New Mexico. And it's like, I don't really want to stop in Texas. Like, I kind of would prefer not to do that. It's going to be the longest road trip I've ever been on, for sure. I'm from the Midwest. I'm not scared of no 8-hour road trip. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a nice day trip. Just go up to fucking Chicago or whatever. Yeah. It's definitely tough to do those things by yourself too, but having some camaraderie, some companionship, it definitely helps some. You can stop in the western part of the state, stay away from the panhandles in both. Those places are nuts. Idaho has a fucked up panhandle too. Just something specifically about the panhandle. But, like, is West Texas, like, not weird? Anyway. Audiobook recommendation: The Three Body Problem, narrated by Rosalind Chow. I've heard of the three body problem. I don't know anything about that. I think I've heard the name of that book, but I don't know anything about it. We're going to be doing, hopefully, something that is enjoyable for everybody. My memory of driving between Albuquerque and the KC area is that there's, like, nothing between Dodge and Albuquerque. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, where am I going to fucking stop that first night? Over towards El Paso, people are nicer. This country is so enormous and varied. Just trying to be like, okay, where am I going to go so that I don't have a bunch of racists around me, and also queer legal protections, and also we can legally go to the bathroom, and also just dang. Planning a road trip to get away for the holidays, gonna find a dark sky park for star watching on winter solstice. Ugh! That sounds so good! I love the sound of going, yeah, the best ones are in flyover country. Of course! Get away from the big cities. Yes. Kansas in the winter, I don't even know that I've ever properly gotten away from the city enough to get the full effect, but, like, I've been out in the country in the winter, like, when the sky is super duper clear at nighttime. Oh man, I love it. You can see the Milky Way. Man, just beautiful. It's kind of insane that the Milky Way used to just be a constant feature in the sky for everybody on the planet Earth. There is a dark sky park in Kansas. Nice. But yeah, it is super strange that, like, so many humans live in the city, and so it's, like, strange to see the Milky Way. Whereas, yeah, like, unless you were literally standing directly underneath a lit torch, you could basically just see them, like, see the Milky Way every night. I think the Florida Panhandle is fine, but it is still in Florida, and the rest of that state is nuts. Yeah, there's nothing special about the Florida Panhandle because everything in Florida is crazy anyway. The humidity in northern latitudes can block out the Milky Way a lot of the time. Oh, sad. I enjoy unstructured streams. Like, I don't have a particular plan for today. We've gotten all of our donations through Super Chat, which is great, but I don't get them until next month at the same time as my monthly ad payout. So if anybody wants to donate for the rest of the stream, I highly recommend doing it directly on the website, luxander.net. And if we get to 100, I will show you what's in the box. What is in the box? I don't even know if I can lift this without accidentally revealing what's in the box. What's in there? It's not just difficult finding a place to stop for the night, it can be difficult just to find a place to get gas. Always be sure to have water and something to fix your tires with. Yeah, water, that is a good call. We should get like a giant thing of water. Skeptoideus is advertising Wisconsin to me. Use whatever bathroom, continue gender-affirming care, minimal racists, beautiful landscapes, fishing, hunting. Wisconsin is a place to be. Yeah. So there are numerous places on the planet that fall into my criteria for a place that I want to live. And also the PNW happens to be where my partner and I have both wanted to live for a long time. So it happens that that is conveniently one of the places that are going to remain relatively temperate and stable over the course of the next 20 to 30 years. Yeah, minimal racists. Yeah, looking at the stars on the prairie. That sounds like a good fucking night. It's like crisp. There's the slight sting of cold on your exposed face. And yeah, the air is so bracing. I love winter skies on the prairie. It's so beautiful. What a fantastic sensory experience. There are clouds here in the Midwest, in the prairie, that don't occur anywhere else on the planet. You know? It's like, gorgeous. Gotta stop by Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona. That's where they discovered Pluto. Oh, that's cool. I'm lucky my family has been in the PNW for 100 years. Yeah, you're like, I know everybody. I've got contacts in every town. Goodness gracious. I have been dropping subscribers today. Explain the cloud lore to me, Lux. I'm lost. Well, I haven't educated myself on this in a long time, but like, I mean, hold on. Like these, I don't really think these happen in most places. We get these sometimes. What are they called? Undulatus asperatus clouds. We get. If only we had some sort of storm chaser. Yeah. We do have at least a couple. I think there's like 2 people who are into storm chasing in my community right now, which is it's just weird that it happened twice. We've also got these mammatus clouds. I've lived in Kansas for 40 years and have yet to see a tornado. I've lived in Kansas for 30 years and I've been around for tornadoes, but I've never seen one with my bare naked eyes. It's not something that you should aspire toward, in my humble opinion. Been hanging out on Blue Sky. It's a lot more chill. Every time I go to Twitter, I'm like, why am I here? Tornado Valley has shifted 500 miles to the east over the last 50 years. Shift and expand, so much of the old area is still covered, but the new areas are now in Kentucky, Tennessee, and parts of Georgia. Wow. East Coast tornadoes. Love that. ProPublica has some cool maps showing the shift. That would not surprise me, because ProPublica are the maps that I look at when I'm explaining to people like certain parts of the country are going to be worse and some parts of the country are going to be better. ProPublica has some good information. Oh god, let's see. What else is there to talk about today? What else do we have? What discourse has been going on this last week? Is there anything that I haven't covered? Let's see. I don't think that there was anything in the Discord server. Stream recommendations. Yeah, nobody has posted in stream recommendations since a couple of weeks ago. We already talked about the Dems going after trans people. As great as Northern Michigan is climate-wise, I do not want any more tourism here. Yeah. Hassan, Destiny, and Ethan bullshit has eaten the internet. Oh, yeah. Okay, someone did ask me about this earlier in chat, and I was just in the middle of a sentence and then forgot that you had said so. But yeah, there's some video going around. It's allegedly showing Destiny doing something gay. And some people are saying that the video is with Nick Fuentes, but I don't know if there's any identifying information about whoever is in the video with Destiny. But is this what's been going on? What's up with fucking Ethan and fucking Hassan? I haven't heard that. Favorite types of cheese, y'all? Listen, I'm a basic bitch. I like a sharp cheddar. I like a sharp white cheddar, but still kind of a basic bitch about cheese. I maybe should start trying some funkier cheeses and kind of, put myself out there with Nick Fuentes. Is Nick Fuentes actually in it though? And like, to be fair, first of all, my immediate thought about this is like it's a deep fake of some kind. It's just a deep fake. And also, why would it matter if someone was doing something gay? Like, who cares? These are all questions that I have. We're in the middle of a snow warning now in northern Michigan. Uh-oh. We got a little bit of snow this weekend, and I don't know if we're supposed to get any more. That's a good question, actually. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel if you actually answered that cheese question. No, listen, Alan, you have no idea. We talk about food. I am a foodie, okay? My partner recently got me saffron because I haven't used it because I haven't figured out what I'm going to use it for. But like, I'm a foodie. I appreciate little dumb fucking gifts like that. And talking about cheese and whatever, we definitely do. But I mean, yeah, talking about the news, I'm trying to solicit, like, what is the news? What are people talking, like, what is in the zeitgeist this week? I know my only topic for today that I have planned is the assisted suicide conversation that's been happening on Twitter and Blue Sky. Saffron rice goes hard. Okay. Saffron is a color and a spice. It's a spice. I guess it's a color. Saffron is it's the stamen of a flower. So the crocus flower has 3 stamen, the part that you pollinate. And it is very gently plucked. And each plant only has 3 stamen, and they only do it once a year. So, yeah. Careful, the taste of saffron depends on the quality. Low quality, it'll taste like ass. Well, maybe this is the ass fron. Did you ever think about that? Did you ever consider? It was still a very thoughtful gift from my partner. I need to cut my hair so bad. If I got saffron from my partner, I think I'd try my hand at paella. Isn't paella a fish dish? Isn't that got like fish in it? I still have a link open to look up saffron panna cotta because that is what you recommended, chat. What if it tastes like ass but the person likes that? True. Yeah, some of us like ass. Exactly. Yeah, okay, so paella is a rice dish originally from the Valencian community. What is in it? Classic Spanish dish featuring saffron rice with chorizo chicken and seafood. So it's chicken and seafood? Rice, saffron, vegetables, chicken, and seafood. Okay. You can just kind of mix whatever you want. Cool. Paella is so fucking good. I've never had it before. Yes, I will be moving to a more coastal area where fish can be trusted. Which I'm excited about. I was just thinking, like, I've never eaten... I've had, like, clam chowder that you buy. You buy Campbell's Chunky Soup or whatever, and there's, like, a clam chowder. And I did make clam chowder once. It was really rubbery. I don't know what to do to fix that. Maybe it's a Kansas problem and I can't fix it without moving. But, like, yeah, I've never had oysters. I don't know any other ways to have clam besides clam chowder. I haven't had crab in forever, and I've been craving crab so badly. I am unclear on whether I have ever ate lobster. I'm sure that my mom ordered it, but I don't know if I ever ate it. I mean, it's basically just like very similar to crab, I would assume. But yeah, I get to live near the coast. My partner has terrible migraines that are triggered by certain scents, and the smell of cooking fish is one of them. So I have to be very conscientious about what kind of seafood I prepare at home. Uh, Sometimes I'll buy like cooked shrimp that just needs to be warmed. And I'll buy like fish sticks that are already cooked. I can tell you that lobster is not that similar to crab. Okay, good. Real clam chowder is so much better than canned. It was not great when I tried to make real clam chowder, but again, maybe it's a freshness of the ingredients problem. Seconding Lord Byron's sentiment, lobster is not similar to crab. Okay. Shit. Okay. Okay, get an outside grill. Yeah, true. Some rentals don't let you have a grill outside. Lots of rentals don't, at least where I'm from. So I don't like clam chowder in general. I love clam chowder. It's delicious. But you have to make sure to cook the clams first in the broth. The longer they cook, the more tender they'll be. I was using canned clams. That might have been the problem. Like, I don't know if there's anything you can do after they've been canned to, like, save the texture. I guess in genres of meat, lobster and crab are closer to each other than most other meats, but lobster is closer to something like shrimp. Okay, so you're saying texturally, there's like a more shrimp-like textural difference. Cool. Canned clams are gross. Okay, then it's just a matter of getting fresh seafood. Paella is like quintessential surf and turf, right? Because you put meat and you put fish. Counter thesis. Both have claws and is red. See, this is a compelling argument, Nuvenal. This is what I was thinking. Fresh fish. But yeah, so I guess saffron rice is really quintessentially important to a paella. I'll keep that in mind if I ever am looking at a restaurant menu and the paella is really expensive. I'll be like, why is that? And the answer will be because it has fucking saffron in it. Jeez. But yeah, so I guess like fucking Ethan Klein and like, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to Philip DeFranco's show because I'm sure that he's gonna help me. I don't know why. Like, Phil, why do you still? He still covers YouTube drama. Like, okay, something about Ethan Klein versus Hassan Piker controversy from 2 weeks ago. Mr. Beast and Dogpack 404. Diddy updates Andrew Tate. I guess this is just how his news show gets clicks. I don't know. I always think people look so weird when they get veneers. I'm like, what is wrong with your face? Why is lobster bisque better than lobster? Oh man, I mean, lobster bisque is like pureed completely, right? I would assume that there's like a big texture difference. Do you get chunks of lobster in the lobster bisque? Maybe as a garnish on top, right? But mostly it's like blitzed in. I was doing this and that because I was doing like an immersion blender. I'm like, immersion blender. Clam strips are really good. Okay. just move to the coast just in time to live through major global supply chain disruptions and end up becoming a household that is largely reliant on fish. You know, it's crazy how true this is across human history. You know how many, many, many human settlements are next to water? And like you tend it like you tend to go further inland because you end up needing more space and not so much because you need more resources because human beings have been just slurping down seafood since forever. In fact, I was watching a video by Modern History TV who like talks about medieval realism stuff basically. And for a peasant's dinner, like the big midday meal, probably around the time of day that we would call lunch. Their big dinner would be for like a English countryside peasant, salmon, probably some kind of mashed neeps or some other root vegetable, and probably like garden vegetables or foraged vegetables or like foraged greens potentially. Like salmon was considered a poor people meal because you could just fish them up out the river super super easily, like very easily accessed. So you would have had like a really what we would consider a very rich meal. Butter in the neeps, like neeps is turnips also, by the way, if you didn't know that. But like mashed turnips basically instead of mashed potatoes because they didn't have potatoes. Um, just really quality stuff. Vid posted in Streamrex touches on coastal pollution and how mussels help. Ooh, so I love this, but doesn't it mean that those mussels are really good at cleaning water, but doesn't that mean that you then can't eat the mussels because of the dirtiness in the water is now inside the clams? Yeah, lobster used to also be poor people food. Oxtail used to be a poor people food. And now it's like a highly sought after thing. It's like the trash meat. But because there's only one tail on each ox and rich people decided that they liked it. Okay, Streamrex channel. Yep. Oh my god. I have the hiccups now. Or at least I had the hiccups briefly. No. Yes, they can only handle some pollution. Too much sewage lowers the rating of the mussels, so they can't be sold.
Let's get digging and see what...
Shh, be quiet. I'm just gonna skim through this, because I don't know... I don't think I can sit here and watch a video. Okay, so the news about this terrible beach. And the mussels living on the beach? Is that what's going on? Oh, I think part of this is about, like, people are flushing stuff that is ending up on the beach. And that's not good. That's not good. Just finding trash all over the place. Ooh, yeah, the last line of defense. Clams and mussels. I don't think I've ever had mussel generally either. Mussel. Going to a bar in Oregon and ordering like 24 raw oysters and a beer from the local brew house was a good activity. See, I would love to experience that. That sounds very exciting to me. One of the like pinnacle restaurant experiences that I would love to have is omakase. You like go to a sushi bar and maybe there's only 8 seats in the whole establishment. Like I fantasize about getting to go to a small omakase place and like you're fed what was purchased that day. Each bite is made especially the right size for you. Like I really love the idea of doing that. But I also am just interested in also other eating experiences. Like, yeah, I've never had raw oysters. I understand that some people put like lemon juice on it or Tabasco or something, and I'm like, that sounds crazy, and I want to try it. Yeah, I'm the muscles on the beach, shows fat, flabby arms. Yeah, I haven't been working out. I really want to get back into working out, and I'm just having a really difficult time with it right now. So, and I'm like, maybe I should conserve my energy for cleaning. I don't know what BRICS is. Now I gotta learn. Seafood and hiking. Yes, I want to go hiking so bad. Obviously, you technically can go hiking here. It's just not that exciting. And there's ticks. So many ticks. That's the one bad thing about moving somewhere with a more temperate winter time is that the bugs don't die off in the same way over the winter. Although I guess if it is getting colder in the winter, maybe it'll become a little bit better. Okay, BRICS is an intergovernmental organization comprising 9 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. BRICS was originally identified to highlight investment opportunities. The grouping evolved into a geopolitical bloc with their governments meeting annually at formal summits and coordinating multilateral policies since 2009. So this group of we don't have ticks in the PNW. You do. You just only have one species of tick, and it does not carry you do get Lyme disease up there a little bit, but just not as much as in most other places. But what you don't have is you don't have the ticks that can cause you to become allergic to meat. uh, so there are ticks in the PNW though, but yeah, you only have one species instead of like 6 species here. Yeah, but Kitty is saying that BRICS is considering replacing the dollar as its unified currency and adopting a new one. Trump is threatening 100% tariffs if they do change it. Countries in that agreement, yeah, okay, yeah, I already listed them. Trump's still getting more stupid every day. I love how there's literally no one on that list we haven't pissed off. Raw oysters are an expensive treat. So, see, that's what I'm saying, though, is like there will become a point, probably, with global supply chain disruptions where getting chicken or beef or whatever is probably going to end up being more expensive. And like as an industry, the entire area will have to rely more on seafood in a way that drives the prices back down. I am predicting that that's what's going to happen on the coasts. The cost of seafood will go down as we expand that industry to accommodate the fact that other things are more expensive and less accessible. But we'll see. I have autistic ticks, but they're often called stims. Yeah, truly. Well, I learned about bricks today. I learned something and it was involuntary. Mm. Have y'all been seeing people talking about drinking raw milk and some of these people online are like, well, you know, if you just boil your raw milk for a period of time, then you don't have to worry so much about microorganisms. And it's like, that's literally what pasteurized milk is. It's like it's heated up to a specific temperature and then brought back down. Although you might want to do like a double pasteurization or like a higher temperature than you would normally do for pasteurization, because just the one pass through pasteurization might not be good enough. But it's like, why don't you just buy the less expensive, already pasteurized milk? I don't understand what is wrong with people. Young Black Economist says the de-dollarization on its own would have no impact on American citizens. Economists agree. It only affects U.S. ability to control other countries, and barely that either. True. I would rather just buy the jug in the store. That's what I'm saying. Or the bag in the store. You know, let's be inclusive. This is why Chris O'Neill was talking about boiling milk. I assume people have been talking about raw milk and boiling it, and oh man. And there are like a ton of cows that are turning out to be infected with bird flu. Like a bunch of cows dying in California right now. Crazy. Hot milk is gross unless hot chocolate is added. I don't know that I've ever had hot milk on its own or like warm milk on its own. Obviously, if you heat up milk, there are good things that can happen, like potato soup. Potato soup can happen. And hot chocolate can happen, right? And there are other times when milk is hot and it's also good. If you have a baby and are on WIC, you can get 1% milk and then add some heavy cream and still use it to make cheese. Nice. Oh, yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to make cheese. Like, you can make mozzarella at home. Like, really yummy cheese. Ooh. Oyster stew. Milk is way cheaper than cheese. Oh, yeah, I guess so. You could buy cheese. Sorry, you buy milk and then make cheese because it's less expensive. Oyster stew is mostly milk. Yeah, like oyster stew or clam chowder. It's got hot milk in it. It's really cheap and easy. Kitty Tick, you, like, we're on the way to just being like farm neighbors, basically. I tried making mozzarella. I will gladly pay for or trade for mozzarella. It was a pain in the ass. Kitty Tick is saying making cheese is cheap and easy. I don't know. I'm gonna have a cheese and wine cellar. Is that why we associate cheese and wine together? Because they're both aged in a cellar? Agree, hot chocolate with whole milk fucking slaps. There's a learning curve to making cheese. Okay. Just start fucking making my own cheese. Just like sourdough starter and bread. Oh man, I think that I have kind of fucked up my kombucha, like enough that I might need to just get rid of the kombucha starter that I have and start over with a new one. Cause like, I don't know, I think I was making it wrong for a while and I keep like letting it ferment for longer than it's supposed to. And like, I don't even think it's growing a pellicle this time. There's still the pellicle from the last time I brewed in there, but I think I may have fucked it up. I might wait until, but it's like I want kombucha to drink and it's $3 or $4 a bottle if I buy it at the store. So I would really like to make my own kombucha, but it turns out it's harder than you think it is to do it correctly. Excuse me. I want to make my own chocolate, then I'll be set. Yeah, I watched the Nile Red video of him making chocolate. It's a very involved process. Mersh recommends milk, butter, celery salt, paprika, and regular black pepper along with oysters to make oyster stew. I'm allergic to seafood, so I use seaweed and oyster mushrooms instead. Apparently, seaweed confers a very silky and creamy texture upon soup. I was watching something recently that my partner sent me where it was like recommended that you put seaweed in a vegetable stock because it gives it that's some of that heaviness that you would get from a chicken stock, but it's like if you're making a vegetarian version. I'm gonna stick to jam and pickles. Ooh. Oh god. Good grief. Ugh. Well, we're almost at the halfway point. Should we talk about assisted suicide? I don't know. Should we save it for later? I guess it doesn't really matter. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it for a period of time and then we can meander into some other topic. We should be eating more seaweed, if I feel like. So basically, with any plant thing, you do have to be cautious of the fact that sometimes they absorb stuff into them. So, like, yes, seaweed is good for you. However, it also can have arsenic in it if you eat a lot of it. So, apparently, organic seaweed tends to have less arsenic in it. This is also why I only buy rice that says product of Thailand, because rice that's grown in the United States tends to be grown in Georgia, where there is a lot of arsenic in the soil. And the only way to get rid of the arsenic in the rice is to boil it like pasta. But obviously, that results in a texture of rice that most people don't want to eat. So, yeah. But yeah, seaweed, if you eat seaweed, you should buy organic seaweed if possible. Maybe, oh man, I love the idea of having like a really robust aquaponics system. Like, I love the idea of not only growing my own food, but also, putting like in a hydroponic system where the roots just go down into the water directly, but you add fish to the water. And like, man, wouldn't it be cool to also have a pleasant environment for them where I'm growing seaweed and I'm only putting distilled water in this thing, so it's like a contained system, so the fish doesn't have mercury in it and the fucking seaweed doesn't have arsenic in it. Wouldn't that be great? Y'all are making me want to go get a seaweed. I have seaweed snacks right now, and you're making me want to go get them to eat. Specifically, kombu seaweed is used to make a dashi, which is the predominant broth used in Japanese cooking. Nice. Shrimp are great for aquaponics. Yes. Like shrimp, maybe some small white fish or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know, maybe a fish that could provide the omega-3s. Seaweed snacks are so messy though. So I pull the sheet out and I fold it in half and then I shove the entire thing in my mouth. And that is how I eat seaweed. Lightly roasted, lightly salted seaweed. But really I got it because my partner suggested that I make a stock. Every couple of weeks I buy like 3 whole chickens and I butcher them down and then I make a stock out of the carcasses. And I also take the time to rip all of the meat off of the carcasses. So all of the meat that normally like you can't really get to with your knife to make it's like, okay, you got this chunk of breast meat, but then there's still like meat stuck to the carcass. So yeah, it was basically suggesting that I could put seaweed in that meal, like in my stock, to just enhance the umami-ness and enhance the texture. Seaweed is high in iodine too. You can get too much iodine if you eat it too often. Also, different varieties of seaweed take up different chemicals from the water. The cheapest and most versatile kind is the one you use to wrap sushi. It's the least reactive. Tilapia are my favorite. They are great, and you can sell them live in bags at a farmer's market and make bank. Grow fast, breed fast, live in tiny spaces with each other smashed together in a school. Yeah, tilapia, like, basically have a living system of tilapia, shrimp, and seaweed. I guess that's my whole aquaponics system. And then grow whatever vegetables I want. Yeah, I too have a plastic bag in my freezer where I put my veggie scraps for when I make stock. Hell yeah, dude. Man, now, see, I did not eat enough before stream. I'm definitely like, oh, the hungry has set in. For sure. Like, maybe I should go get the seaweed snacks. You should be able to get kombu seaweed at any Asian grocery store. Better for broth than the seaweed snacks. I'm not sure where the nearest Asian grocery store is. You can make an oyster pit on your property. It's just a water-filled hole, however deep the oysters like. Okay, that's cool. I mean, the problem with that is, again, that it's exposed to rain, but just have an indoor oyster pit. Yeah, I have decided I'm going to get a bag of seaweed snacks, and I'll eat them, and then we will move on and talk about something else. Delicious. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'm only going to be gone for about, like, 2 minutes. I just got to walk to my kitchen and then come back. Okay. Hello. I have the seaweed snacks now. Excuse me. Oyster snacks. So yeah, these are really, like, thin sheets. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them in there. Okay, but what else do we have to talk about today? I'm gonna eat all of this. Maybe I'll even eat them 2 at a time. I'll start with just 1 at a time. So yeah, it comes in a sheet, and then I just fold it in half. It is messy, though. It goes everywhere. Seaweed. It's like cotton candy. It seems like it takes up a huge amount of space, and then you get it in your mouth and you chomp it, and it's like, oh my god, it's gone. It's so little now. Healthy snacks. Well, I know. I would love to get over this hamster wheel part of history. I see so many memes nowadays about, like, oh, I'm just one bad day from selling everything I own and buying a farm in the middle of the woods. And I'm like, a lot of people say this, but I don't know how realistic people are about how much work it is. Like, half the people I see posting those, would they actually be on board if a Stardew Valley-like opportunity presented itself? They were suddenly like, oh, I now have this land. So yummy. Because obviously it is a lot of work to like, especially if you have animals. There is no such thing as a day off once you have animals. I mean, maybe with if you have something really low maintenance like chickens, maybe you could go on a little bit of a vacation, but like if you have dairy, you definitely have to be present every day. Like Stardew, there would need to be a local community to help support you. Yeah. Get to know your neighbors. Just had coffee and cinnamon rolls. Ooh, I love cinnamon rolls. You know, I don't think I've ever made cinnamon rolls from scratch. I should do that. That seems like it would be really yummy. I sometimes get the canister and like pop it open. Delicious. Seaweed. It tastes of the ocean. The real reason I turned vegan, just don't want to get tied down by livestock. Make really good friends with someone who is dedicated enough to do that. Okay, I'm almost done with my snack. I just want to stave off the urge to eat food. So yummy. And then I guess we can just start talking about the main issue of today. Delicious. Now, that's going in the trash. Oh, God. Annie's cinnamon rolls are better than other store-bought rolls. Annie's apparently is like a really solid brand. Annie's like mac and cheese is really, really good, I've heard. I've lived on a farm. Most people don't understand the amount of work it actually takes. Even if you don't have any animals, there's still so much to do. Yeah. And like, this is part of where like my interests and my partner's interests overlap in a really good way. Because my partner likes automating things. So if I can be like, well, I want that, I like want as many aspects of this automated as possible, we can establish the systems for that. Okay, well, let's talk about the assisted suicide subject, which people have been talking about recently. I again, I feel like this comes up every couple of months, a couple times a year, really. Um, and for good reason sometimes. Like the reason why it's been popping up more is because Canada has created a legalized assisted suicide thing. And of course, the way that they market it is, oh, excuse me, we're just gonna make this, oh my God. They're like, we're just gonna make this an option for people who are terminal. Wow, I did not expect to get the hiccups right now. That's so annoying. It's like, did I eat too fast? Oh my God, stop. Ah, I'm gonna cry. No. No. Are they gonna go away now? Okay, maybe they're gone. Okay, so in Canada, they were like, hey, we want to be able to do euthanasia on people, but we promise, fingers crossed, only terminal patients. But now they've started offering it to people who with mental health diagnoses, like, so, so the reason that now it's a topic of conversation is because the UK has introduced some kind of legislation that would legally, like formally legally have assisted suicide. And again, they are saying pinky promise it's only for terminal patients, but I think we're seeing in real time how once this is established, they expand it. Yeah, and John Bainbridge points out they also actively suggest it to the disabled, which is pretty eugenic of them. So there's like numerous different conversations that we could have around this issue, you know? I think a lot of people who are taking part in this conversation, particularly, you know, we have these people who are supporting assisted suicide. They call it, you know, death with dignity or whatever. Like the right to die. You know, they use this like positive language because I think for some people, they can only imagine this being an option in the extreme situation where like someone is, you know, pissing and shitting all over themselves and they can't talk and like they have like zero discernible quality of life, suffering, lots of pain, etc. I think a lot of these people are coming from a place where they have witnessed a protracted dying in like an elderly person that they know or something. And like honestly, a lot of the way that people talk about this frames it as about how hard it was for them to watch their elderly family member go through this or whatever. Maybe not elderly, but you know what I mean. But you know, deciding to die is hard, even if you are really deeply sick. So, like, would those people have chosen to die rather than let it happen naturally? You know, hard to say, obviously. But this is part of the problem is that the conversation around assisted suicide tends to become about other people rather than the person themselves. Although, like, again, in a perfect world with no profit motive or whatever, I agree with the premise that people should be able to choose to die, right? Like if you're a great great grandma and you've seen all your kids grow up and you've ticked off everything on the bucket list and you're just like, I'm old and I'm ready to go, whatever. Okay. If you're terminally ill and you know that you're not going to be, that you're basically just going to suffer for a long time and then die, and it's going to be very upsetting. Like, yeah, in a perfect world, I think that you should have the right to choose that. And like, you know, like suicide isn't illegal. So you can commit suicide. It's just that you're going to have to do it in a way that is not officially sanctioned, you know? You'll have to go out in the cold and just die in the cold, or you know, you'll have to take too much of your medicine and hope that you get the dosing right and that you don't just end up in the hospital really badly injured by it or whatever. And you know, there's the problem of, well, who is going to find my body and like what state are they going to find me in? And like I understand that for someone who is choosing to die, they would like to be able to do it surrounded by their family members and in a hospital where there are people who are paid to get rid of people's corpses and stuff. It's like, in principle, attempted suicide is illegal in some places. Yeah. It's mostly not, though, like nowadays. So, yeah, in a perfect world, I agree that people should have access to that option. That would be great. Or at least that if your spouse helps you, then they're not being charged for murder when you ask them to do it. Like, obviously, that's a tricky situation, and what we don't want is spouses being able to say, well, she wanted me to help her commit suicide. Obviously, like, every aspect of this is highly fraught with potential for abuse. And I think that that is the ultimate message that I have landed on regarding assisted suicide. There are way too many potential for abuse situations. Like, okay, let's say the parents are taking care of a very disabled child. can they just choose to have their child killed without being able to access like knowledge of what that child's quality of life is like? Because the parents just don't want to take care of the kid anymore. And it's, you know, instead of paying for them to be in a home for the rest of forever, just kill them. Just do it once. It's less expensive, you know? And I think this is true across other areas as well. You know, not only are we worried about caretakers euthanizing their disabled charges, like the people who they're in charge of taking care of them. And then you've got obviously this, I think this operates both the same way in the national healthcare service as, and like the same as with insurance companies. So long as there's a profit motive involved in healthcare, or like, I guess in the national healthcare service, there isn't a profit motive, but it is still like, we need to save money. We need to try not to spend a lot of money. And of course, insurance company doesn't want to spend a lot of money. So insurance companies and healthcare systems are going to prefer the one-time, probably less expensive over time suicide, as opposed to creating a complex, potentially expensive treatment plan for someone with a complex case. And again, like in Canada, what is factually happening in Canada is that people with mental health diagnoses are being given the suicide option because the other options would involve having to tangibly, materially improve people's state of being. And that's expensive and that's complicated. Whereas you could just kill them and then they're no longer a problem anymore. Like the squeaky wheel is the one that gets the treatment. Or it's basically more like if we just started removing the wheels. But basically, yeah, I don't know that there is any way to feel confident that this kind of system is being used ethically. Oh, and I've also seen, and I would have to go double check and get the exact specifics on this, but I believe I was reading an article about a woman in a wheelchair who was trying to find accessible housing, and she was involved in, you know, Canada's system, and they suggested the suicide option to her. She didn't have a terminal illness. She had a chronic condition of some kind that required the wheelchair. She just needed housing, but instead of providing her housing in a long-term fashion, they would prefer the one-off option. Which is basically to say, like, they're if they aren't doing it already, then they're just a hop, skip, and a jump, basically, from just offering the attempted suicide to, the assisted suicide to poor people. It's like, because if you're in a wheelchair, obviously you probably can't work, or you're on a limited income, and finding accessible housing that is also within your budget is, you know, I was wondering when the homeless would be targeted. Well, by opening up the mental illness option, that's one way that you can target the homeless. But it's like, with the homeless, you have like, yeah, they could go on the mentally ill angle and just kill them. But also, I think that the increased policing of homeless people is more about maintaining prison labor. As the rate of crime goes down, you need to start inventing more crimes if part of your economy is based on having slave labor in prisons. Maddie says, I agree with the notion. If it was heavy paperwork, an age minimum, all these checks and balances, it would be okay. Capitalism doesn't allow this because it will just wear away over time, so it shouldn't happen, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is one of those situations where, you know, if you give an inch, they'll take a mile or two. If you open the door here, I think you're getting lag frames. Oh yeah, I can see that. I have no control over that. So, like, let's just hope that it resolves soon. It's the weekend, obviously. Lots of people in my neighborhood are sharing the internet with me. I'm not even sure what else there is to say about assisted suicide. Like, I feel like, yeah, again, in an ideal world, yeah, I agree that the option should be available. I just think that the current system is extremely coercive, and I don't know that there's any way that you can do this without killing a bunch of people who want to live. And guys, keep in mind, okay, this is the UK proposing assisted suicide, which they're going to say, oh, it's for terminal cases, but they will eventually offer it to disabled people whose quality of life the NHS is not willing or able to support. And this is in the context of the UK, much like the US, has completely abandoned COVID protections. COVID causes disability. So you have like a bunch more people who are going to need to apply for disability. And they are going to be funneled this other direction because the system already has not been funded well enough to support the existing disabled population, much less all of these newly disabled people who are still coming to terms with their limitations. Like, these people think that there's going to be help, and there isn't. Not only is there not going to be help, but they will try to put you in the meat grinder, literally. They will try to put you in the suicide booth. Jaina points out that capitalism doesn't allow us to be seen as people or human beings. It sees us as a labor pool to be either expanded by banning abortion or culled via like wars and stuff. Yeah. Capitalism, I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit in the podcast that we recently did about Captain America: The First Avenger. You should check it out at the Many Worlds Hypothesis on Gayfesh's YouTube channel. But like, the Nazis would like use prison labor, and they would push them and push them and push them, and basically the ideology is this sort of laid bare extreme version of, yeah, your body is just a tool. We don't care about, you know, if prisoners die in the process of building these super weapons, who cares? There's always more prisoners. We can always get more, right? And we're supposed to think of this as like horrifying when Red Skull says that in Captain America. And even Zola, who is a Nazi scientist, seems uncomfortable with the premise in that moment. But this is the secret truth about capitalism, is it is a brutal system that thinks of you as a disposable resource, a renewable disposable resource. When you follow the concept of do least harm all the way to its endpoint, it is always some eugenics villainy. Stopping people from having to suffer by editing things out of the population is still eugenics and dangerous. But is it better to leave a kid to live with spina bifida or to fix the population so that it can't happen again? It is hard to try and help billions of people. Yeah, I mean, but like, why are we trying to fix the spina bifida? You know, like, you know, are we fixing these things because they are causing human suffering? Like, is the condition spina bifida so physically painful that you cannot have any quality of life while you have it? Or does the idea of fixing disabilities exist because we think, oh, I can't imagine not being able to work, or I can't imagine not being able to walk. Like, I can't imagine, like, I feel that my quality of life would be so low that I'd rather be dead, or like I rather would never have been born or something. But like, if we had appropriate supports, if a wheelchair didn't cost thousands of dollars, you know, being disabled is a part of natural human variance. And like there's lots of deaf people, for example, people who were born deaf who do not want cochlear implants. They don't want to be surgically fixed. Even if there was some option, they would not take it because being deaf is a cultural thing. It's like a rich culture. They have their own language. Languages, as a matter of fact. There's different versions of sign language in different parts of the world. And yeah, like I I can definitely see why that still angles on eugenics, like the idea of taking this thing away from people, because like disability is it's like the only culture that you can join easily. Um, like lots of cultural things in the human species are delineated based on like things you were born with or where you grew up or whatever. But yeah, disability, like there are so many incredible things that have been invented in order to accommodate disability. And like some artists are incredible because they have to learn how to draw with their toes because they were born without hands or whatever the thing is, you know? Like does it make humanity worse actually if we try to just fix all of the disability? And do the disabled people have a choice in that? Or is it being decided for them? That's another thing. Is like, I used to think that I had a brain that was just depressed. It turns out that I have PTSD and borderline, but for a while I was like, yeah, wouldn't my life and the world net be a better place if I didn't have depression? Like if someone could have gone in and fixed my brain before I was born to make me not have clinical depression. But like lots of art, lots of inventions, lots of stuff has come from that human experience of like being depressed. So yeah, like how can you quantify harm on this scale? Like there was a video that Abigail Thorne did on the Philosophy Tube channel that she talked about this kind of similar thing where like, you know, this town, like if you build a town like next to a nuclear plant that has a meltdown or something, I don't know, or like the town gets built because the nuclear plant was built or whatever, like, and then people there get cancer and die. She was like arguing basically, or quoting someone who was arguing that like that's not a net harm, like for a bunch of people to have been born in that town who otherwise wouldn't have been born, and then for a good chunk of them to get cancer, like because so many people were born, some philosophers would say that that was like a net good because more people were born and got to experience life, even though there was some harm by way of them getting poisoned by the, I don't know, nuclear plant or whatever, like plastic production plant or whatever it is. So I don't know that I agree with that premise. Like if those people were never born and they never got cancer, I kind of feel like that is less harm than those people being born and getting cancer. But you can't like decide that for someone else. That's the problem. If everyone in the world was disabled, no one would be. Right. That's the thing about glasses. Glasses are not considered a disability because they're so well accommodated for. And like, so basically people who can't see, like not literally can't see, people who need glasses or other prescription correction, they're functionally not disabled. So yeah, if we were just accommodating of the disabilities, functionally no one would be less able, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. I think it's a complex subject, and I can see where people are coming from on multiple sides. In West Africa, you can have serious mental disability, but your village will still give you a house and plot. My host's my host dad's brother had mental disability and he lived in a hut next to mine. Since he does not have to worry about housing, he can live without being homeless or racking up bills. Housing cost is a major issue for every Western nation. True, that's the thing. Yeah, if we just provided housing, if people weren't like, I have a worse quality of life because I can't afford the kind of food that makes my condition easier to live with, like, or, yeah, paying housing costs, people would have a higher quality of life. If someone has an accessible apartment, they might actually need less medical support because, if their apartment is accessible, then maybe their pain is lower and they don't end up needing the pain interventions. And then because they're not in pain, then they can be more functional. But it's about, okay, well, we have to build that housing and we have to make it accessible. Having a hearing aid for mild to moderate hearing loss in one ear is not much worse than having glasses, in my opinion. Oh, yeah, for sure. Sure. If you're hard of hearing, yeah, I would say yeah, it's a mild and accommodatable type of disability, for sure. Finland has practically eliminated homelessness. It can be done. I mean, you just have to have the political will. But the political will in my country seems to be to sweep through homeless camps, destroy their things, force them to just like temporarily migrate to a different part of the city until they set up a new establishment somewhere else, and then the cycle begins over again. Let's close this homeless shelter that's right next to the bus stops, and let's not expand and like not put more beds. I don't know. That's the kind of thing that I would really like to do. Is I would like to volunteer with like the local homeless shelter. But like, yeah, those services have a tendency to get cut. It's not good. Yep. My biggest problem is that people don't realize I'm hard of hearing, and I have to remind them sometimes to repeat what they said, etc. Yeah, I have like very mild hearing issues mostly on my right side. So yeah, sometimes you got to get people to repeat what they've said, or like really look at their face while they're talking. Well, yeah, I don't know that I have a lot else to say on that particular topic. But we can keep chit-chatting for a while and see if there's anything else going on that we should chat about. Dawn of the first day. Doesn't this get like vandalized every year? And they have to build more than one? A giant goat made of straw and decorated for Christmas. I would love to try goat. So much. I would love to try goat. I was born with pretty heavy hearing loss in my left ear, and I have ADHD, so I'm asking what, like 20 times every conversation. Some people get really frustrated, but thankfully most are fine with it. I would love to learn sign language. I just need a human person to learn it with. Like, I would really love to get my partner into it or someone else who I see in person so that we could practice it on a regular basis. Because, like, yeah, I think that ASL is extremely beneficial to know. I mean, like, is like 10%? Hold on. How? No. I was thinking of something else. Okay. How many people are deaf? How many percentage? What percentage of people are deaf? What percentage of people are deaf? Yeah, like 2% of people in the United States are deaf. 3.6%? I'm seeing different numbers. Approximately 15% of adults report some trouble hearing. % of people in the United States are fully deaf, I think, that's what the number is. Over 5% of the world's population require rehabilitation to address their disabling hearing loss. So yeah, it's like probably good to know that language, you know. I have a friend who's a goat farmer. Nice. I've never had goat before. I would kind of love to try all of these different things. I don't know that I've ever had goat cheese. I've definitely had sheep cheese because that's what feta is. Feta is sheep cheese. Well, what should we do with the next, like, hour of stream? Or am I going to do another short one? That's a possibility, too. Some feta is goat cheese. Ooh, okay. Good to know. Or at least a mix of sheep and goat. Nice. Also, sheep is really fucking expensive here just because we don't have a large industry about eating sheep. But we could. We could. Yeah, what else can we talk about today? Or should we play a game? Or should I just leave you? I don't know if today we're going to get to the goal of opening the chest. And the thing that is in the chest is definitely coming out at the end of the stream. And I don't know if it's going back in there for next stream. So we have a limited amount of time to find out what's in the box. What's in there? What is it? Questions. But yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get there today. And I'm trying to see, like, is there anything else that I retweeted that I meant to talk about and I just haven't gotten to it? Oh, yeah, I did want to talk about this one thing. So apparently some doctors who provide the assisted suicide, MAID is the assisted suicide service, MAID. This is from an article about euthanasia and, like, how this has been going in Canada right now. Later, Young Black Economist, have a good day. Thank you for the super chat earlier. Anyway, pleasure from euthanasia is the section. Euthanasia is described by some prolific public facing maid providers in Canada and other countries as leaving them feeling, quote, hyped up on adrenaline, very good, heartwarming, liberating, like being part of a crusade, causing an urgent and pressing need for sex, and provokes laughter in providers discussing how to force provision on resisting patients or upset families. The providers experiencing these emotions are among those with the highest known provision rates, with hundreds of deaths each, and being vocal advocates for MAID. In Canada, they fall into the less than 18.3% of MAID clinicians who most likely conduct the majority of provisions. So less than 18% of the people who provide this service are providing the majority of the killings. These concentrations of deaths concern other MAID providers. So, like, this means that these doctors are experiencing a set of symptoms that are associated with, like, power and, like, something exciting you. And yeah, like, so it seems like that's bad. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that that sounds bad and that we should be concerned that, like, a very vocal minority of medical providers are responsible for a majority of killings of potentially disabled people and ill people, and that it makes them, like, feel like they need to go have sex right now. Yeah, like, I just killed, and, like, they're laughing, discussing how to force MAID on resisting patients, trying to coerce people, laughing while talking about coercing people into assisted suicide. So yeah, I feel like I don't need much more than that. I feel like I don't need to think about it much further beyond that. Like, the providers are displaying deeply concerning psychiatric symptoms related to their participation in the MAID program. They should all have their medical license revoked immediately. Yeah, I'm like, why is that not disqualifying? That on its own, I feel, should be disqualifying. That almost reminds me of doctors trying to re-kill organ donors if they come back to life. Oh, God. Like, I already have plans for your organs. You have to die for real now. Yeah, similar reaction to a serial killer. Honestly, I do believe that, like, okay, there has been one... Hold on. Okay, it would not surprise me if there were a lot of female serial killers in the medical profession is basically like a former neonatal nurse was sentenced to life in prison for killing of presumably babies, the murders of 7 babies, according to AP News. I know that men are statistically more likely to be serial killers than women, but I just think that, like, nurses, female nurses, especially, like, cis white female nurses, be power tripping, and I think that they are probably responsible for a lot of deaths that might be attributed to just, like, normal medical stuff, like the medical neglect that goes on. My understanding is nursing tends to appeal to a female spree and serial killers more for various reasons. Yeah, I mean, it's like easier to get away with comparatively. Men are more likely to be violent offenders. Women have their own bad tendencies. A vast majority of angels of death have been female, and they are the least likely to be caught statistically. Angels of death, is that referring to... So angel of mercy or angel of death is a type of criminal offender who is usually employed as a medical practitioner or a caregiver and intentionally harms or kills people under their care. The angel of mercy is often in a position of power and may decide the victim would be better off if they no longer suffered from whatever severe illness is plaguing them. This person then uses their knowledge to kill the victim. In some cases, as time goes on, this behavior escalates to encompass the healthy and the easily treated. So yeah, there is a term for this concept. It's common enough that there is a term for like a nurse or a caregiver who intentionally harms or kills people because, oh, darling, wouldn't you be better off? And that quintessentially is what is at the root of this problem with the intersection of disability and assisted suicide. You know, I can't imagine not being able to walk. Oh gosh, I just can't imagine not being able to feed myself. I'd rather die. So let me help you. I truly do think that this behavior pattern is coming out. Reminds me of the latest episode of Respect the Dead about Elizabeth Bathory. She wasn't a doctor, just a serial killer. Yeah, I'm not familiar with her story. Yeah, power over life and death. I can imagine that that's quite addictive. I just love how there's a whole Wikipedia article about this. This is, well, I mean, it's not just about this one thing because the angel of mercy concept can be in other fields besides the medical field, but I like how it does have a specific subsection. Some people with a pathological interest in the power of life and death can be attracted to medical or related professions. Killers who get off the screen. Killers who occupy the role of a professional carer are sometimes referred to as angels of death or angels of mercy. In this role, they may kill their patients for money, for a sense of sadistic pleasure, for a belief that they are, quote, easing the patient's pain, or simply because they can. The typical medical professional who murders kills 2 patients each month. Holy fucking shit, dude. One such killer was Nurse Jane Toppin, who admitted during her murder trial that she was sexually aroused by death. She would administer a drug mixture to patients she chose as her victims, lie in bed with them, and hold them close to her body as they died. Another example is Harold Shipman, an English family doctor who made it appear that his victims died of natural causes. Between 1975 and 1998, he murdered at least 215 patients, and he is suspected of having murdered 250 people total. Dr. John Bodkin Adams, meanwhile, though acquitted in 1957 of the murder of one patient, is believed to have killed around 163 patients. An example of a malignant hero serial killer, which malignant hero is like the subject endangers the victim's life in some way and then proceeds to, quote, save them. Robert Angelo would devise a plan where he would inject the patient with drugs, then rush into the room and attempt to, quote, save the patient so that he could be a hero to the patient's family. This motive of excitement from inducing a health crisis for the patient has recently been labeled as a professional version of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Wow. A number of medical murderers have been involved in fraud. For example, H.H. Holmes was often involved in insurance scams and confidence tricks. Harold Shipman had a previous conviction for prescription fraud and forgery, for which he was fined £600. Yeah, women who kill their own children often cite saving them from this world and its suffering. Oh, my poor baby's too precious for this world. Eric says it's easy for medical abuse to go unchecked for decades as well, so there are likely many practicing doctors like this right now. But yes, you're correct. And it's the fucking 18%. Hold on. Where was it? It's the 18% of MAID clinicians who provide a majority of the assisted suicides, quote unquote. Like, yeah, apparently about 18% of medical professionals are having like sexual excitement and other types of excitement that makes them want to keep killing patients. Insanity. This is crazy shit. God. So I just think it's pretty obvious that there's like a lot of reasons to not legalize this kind of abuse. It's basically just legalizing a very easily abused system. So, you know how it is. Yeah, these medical professionals are legal serial killers for all practical purposes. They're just legally serial killing people. Absolutely crazy. Oregon did 367 deaths with dignity, as we call them, during 2023. In a state with a total, hold on. In a state with a total population of 4.2 million people, that seems like a lot. Were there really 360 cases of terminally ill people who were going to die for sure within the next couple months anyway? Hmm. 0.0001%. Yeah, I guess so. It's like, you think of pregnancy and childbirth as being like a rare event, but in a given day, there's plenty of women in every given hospital, like actively in labor. It's like, I remember reading about stuff in Palestine and being like, I'm surprised at how many pregnant people there are in Palestine. But like, it does make sense in a city with or like an area with a relatively large population, you know, in a given population, okay, 50% are female, and of that, probably a certain percentage at any given time are pregnant, and so therefore, at any given time, there's a certain number of people literally giving birth currently. They relaxed something a few years ago about the death for dignity law in Oregon, because the original law is from 1998, and now more people are getting it after they relaxed something. Ugh, I don't like that. I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't like it. It does not spark joy. Jesus. H.H. Holmes started out with medical studies as well. He worked as a pharmacist. His case is worth reading. Some speculation that he might have been Jack the Ripper as well. He did visit London at the time of the killings, etc. Nice. I wonder if my partner has listened to a true crime podcast about H.H. Holmes that I could ask about after the show. We let people go for irreparable suicidality here or 6-month life expectancy. But again, like what is irreparable suicidality? When you're in when you're in conditions where you can't afford food, or you have no control over the genocide in Palestine or whatever. Like, there's lots of things that make you feel hopeless. Also, due to 70 years of war, the median age is 19 in Palestine. There are millions packed together with nothing to do a lot of the time due to lockdowns. Oh, so they might have like a higher percentage of pregnant people than average. If your source about H.H. Holmes mentions his murder hotel and doesn't mention that it's bullshit, be dubious. All right, fair enough. My partner likes to listen to Simon Whistler podcasts about, there's like one of them is a true crime one. In the USA, there are approximately 10,000 births per day, about 7 per minute. Ew. That's too much slime. That's far too much slime. Oh my god, we're almost at 100 likes. We have $22 out of $100 today. I don't know if we're going to get to the... I don't know if we're going to find out what's in the box today. It's so sad. Oh. Just get a little peek. Just a little peek open in there. Oh, what is it? I don't know. It's very exciting. I'm very excited to show this to you, but I don't know if we're going to do it today. Yeah, it basically maths out to we let one person legally kill themselves a day in Oregon. Yeah, 367 last year. The insurance companies hired Pinkerton Detective Agency to get H.H. Holmes because he was costing them too much money with his murderous insurance frauds. Oh no. So like H.H. Holmes wasn't even caught by the police. He was found out by a private detective agency hired by an insurance company to deal with his fraud. The problem ultimately was not that he was murdering people. The problem ultimately was that he was committing fraud. And the insurance companies didn't like it. God, that's crazy. Excuse me. I guess H.H. Holmes is widely considered the United States' first known serial killer. Does that mean that the concept of a serial killer is relatively new? Or is it just so uncommon? Because he became active in the 1880s, but we were already a country for a year, or for 100 years, sorry. For a year. Wow, one whole year. Yeah, Al Capone went down because of tax fraud. Fucking Martin Shkreli went down over, like, insider trading or some fucking shit like that instead of for, you know, the tangible harm of hiking AIDS medication prices. Martin Shkreli is a son of a bitch. Spent 3 fucking hours bouncing on my boy's dick. Anyway. The term and seeing it that way is a newer cultural phenomenon. Yeah. Well, I wonder if serial killering was more common before, or like just as common before, but we literally just didn't know about it because there didn't used to be forensic evidence. People would just go missing. Elizabeth Bathory lived in the 1500s and she killed hundreds of people. What? Who is she? Elizabeth Bathory. Hungarian serial killer. She was a countess. Hungarian noblewoman and alleged serial killer from the powerful house of Bathory, who owned land in the Kingdom of Hungary. Neat. Did I mention I'm doing my second letter for bottom surgery tomorrow? At least starting it. We're going to try to knock it out in a day. High five. Very exciting. I hope that you get that done soon. I used to know a distant niece of Shkreli. If it helps, apparently he sucks at family gatherings and her parents avoid at all costs. I mean, it does not surprise me that he's not fun at parties. Jack the Ripper was the first person known as a serial killer in the 1800s, as far as I know. Well, Elizabeth Bathory, the Wikipedia page, says that Bathory, she was a Hungarian noblewoman, an alleged serial killer, and Bathory and 4 of her servants were accused of torturing and killing hundreds of girls and women from 1590 to 1610. She and her servants were put on trial and convicted. The servants were executed, whereas Bathory herself was imprisoned within the castle of Kjet until her death in 1614. She died aged 54. The charges leveled at Bathory have been described by several historians as a witch hunt. Other writers, such as Michael Farron in 1989, have said that the accusations against Bathory were supported by testimony from more than 300 individuals, some of whom described physical evidence and the presence of mutilated dead, dying, and imprisoned girls found at the time of her arrest. Recent sources claim that the accusations were a spectacle to destroy her family's influences in the region, which was considered a threat to the political interests of her neighbors. So, I mean, obviously this was a long time ago, but apparently this is like, it's somewhat debatable if she actually killed all these people. But 300 witnesses. Yeah, but like, did you just pay off 300 people to lie? I mean, the term serial killer wasn't a term before Jack the Ripper. Bathory would probably have been called a mass murderer or the equivalent in her time. Okay, so she functionally would fit under our modern definition of a serial killer, but like, they didn't use the term before. Murder and intrigue, true. Politics as usual. Serial killers are more common in areas where they can freely travel across the country. Australia and the US have larger numbers than the rest of the world. Also, the Industrial Revolution and the materialistic age has been examined as a cause in the uptick of serial crimes due to the depersonalization of the age in the late 1800s, 20th century. Yeah, I actually, on my The Last of Us script, which is basically very close to being finished, but I'm tabling that for now because I actually want that video to do well, and that means that it has to not be the very first video essay that I put up. But like, something that I'm interested in learning more about and examining is the moral degradation that is involved with the dehumanization caused by desperate situations. So like, I ended up renting or checking out from the library, I guess. Oh god. I can't remember the name of the book. That's gonna upset me. I don't think I have the tab open anymore. Okay, nope, that's not right. Hold on, what am I looking for? I'm looking for... Oh my god. I'm just trying to find the name of the book right now. The name of the book or the name of the guy. Nope. I hate that this is not easy for me to find right now. It's not Measure of a Man, I don't think. I don't know. I was reading some book about the Holocaust, basically, and like, hi Sam. I'm interested in like what, like, you kind of, if you're in a desperate situation, you suddenly, okay, let's say you're competing for resources. You know, you're competing for food, or you're competing for bullets. It's the zombie apocalypse, and you're, you know, any bullets you have in your gun are bullets that I don't have in my gun, whatever. So if you're in like a really intensely desperate situation, you know, it changes how you see other people, and I think also creates a moral degradation within yourself where you're like, I only care about surviving. I don't care if I have to kill these people. I don't care if I have to lie in order to get them vulnerable and then kill them, you know? Like, I think that there is a really interesting conversation there around what happens to people and their morality and how they treat one another in these situations. I went, what fucking book am I reading? I don't know why I cannot find this. I'm going to be stuck on it. I think it's Viktor Frankl, who I am thinking of. Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. Yes, fuck, that's the one. Man's Search for Meaning. I was like, I'm pretty sure it has man in the title. Anyway, I do think it's interesting to look at that. Like, yeah, is there a serial killers are more common now because of the alienation of industrialized capitalism? I think that fits nicely into my broader theory of like desperation causes people to basically take into account other people's moral weight. Like, it lowers the moral consideration of others around you, and it creates an object of that person. But in a way, it also creates an object of you, where you to yourself are just an object. Like, you're just a dehumanized, like, you're empty. You don't think and feel the same way you do about people when you're in situations where you're not in what feels like direct competition with each other, where it's like, yeah, if you have something that I need, I might die, and so I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that thing from you that I need. So yeah, I thought that Man's Search for Meaning had some really interesting bits in it. But yeah, that script is on hold for the time being. I'll come back around to it in a few months. Maybe sometime late next year, I'll go ahead and do the Last of Us video essay. There's a nuanced difference between serial, spree, and mass murderers. All have killed more than one, but there's a difference in the time period. So yeah, like a spree is like one very short thing, whereas serial is like each victim gets picked out individually and it happens over a period of time. Have you ever read Persepolis? No, I have not read that. Persepolis? It's a graphic novel. That says a film. Oh, apparently it was made into a film in 2007. It's about an Irani person coming into their own. Nice. Excuse me. I need to start reading Ursula Le Guin. That's really something that I should do. And fucking bell hooks. But Ursula Le Guin has like some interesting books that I've heard people talk about that I would really like to get into. Excuse me. I don't know why the hiccups are coming and going. It's super weird. It's like, why are you coming and going? What? You just pick one. And by that I mean go instead of stay. Please stop. Persepolis is a memoir in revolutionary Iran. In one scene, the new morality police are coming and she isn't wearing a hijab and knows that they will arrest her. Killing spree is one of the things that the Halo announcer says when you're doing well. High five! So she preemptively goes up to the police and snitches on someone else, and it successfully distracts them from her lack of hijab. Ooh, okay, that's a really interesting concept. I'm going to keep that tab open and read that book at some point. That's fantastic. I love that. Mersch says the military has done lots of research on this. In World War I, only 20% of soldiers would aim to unalive the enemy. By World War II, it was 50%. By the time of Vietnam, it was 90%. Terrible book to read, but On Killing is a book that explains military research on unaliving people. Pilots would hesitate less and have less PTSD than those in close combat. My theory is that violent video games nowadays and television and movies inspired the changes by exposing people to more violence. I think that there is a pretty big difference between video game violence and television and movies than the real thing, like happening in person. I think that it's pretty much always the case that the further away you are from the action, the less traumatizing it's going to be for you. Although there is that bit in Full Metal Alchemist where the sniper character is saying that she feels like she was scarred more by her participation in the genocide than some other people might be, because she got to see each person she was killing up close in her scope, as opposed to just like, you know, shooting generally in that direction and somebody maybe dies or doesn't. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of a long debated thing, right? This is like one of the things that was quintessential to the whole Gamergate thing, was that Anita Sarkeesian was criticizing video games for treating women as objects, because she was basically tying that into a hypothesis that the poor treatment of women by gamers might have been worsened or caused to some degree by the portrayal of women as sex objects and as objects in general in the video games. And like the fact that there are not fully fleshed out options, there were very few female player characters at that time. So yeah, I mean, I think that generally speaking, the vibe then was that probably the mechanics of a video game are less causal to the way that these gamers treat women. So yeah, that's the thing though, is like, if the subject is violence, because this also was a discussion back when like Satanic Panic was happening. Yes, of course there were the religious nuts about it, but there were also people who were saying like, this music is violent and it causes violence against women, or it causes bombings, or it causes whatever. Like, people have been claiming this for a long time, and I don't know if this has been well substantiated. Of course, absence of evidence doesn't mean evidence of absence. There could be a causal relationship, but I don't even know if there's a correlatory relationship. Like, is there a correlation between gamers, let's just say gamers, like white male gamers who play games where women are like victimized, or those who don't play those games? Like, is the game playing, is the ones who play the ones where the women are like, the only women in the game are sex workers and you can only interact with them by killing them, whatever. Like, do those people have more misogynistic thoughts and views? And which direction does the causal relationship go? Like, do the video games cause the people to feel that way toward women? Or is it the fact that they feel that way towards women that they decided to play that game in the first place? Like, seeing which direction the causal relationship flows is not always straightforward. What's up, Baphomet? Nice. Mersh is claiming that there is obviously a big difference between the video games and in real life, but is asserting that it makes people feel less inhibited in doing violence toward others. Also, look at video games after 9/11. The enemies are Middle Eastern, etc. Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree, but it's like, and that you can see that in film as well. That in film language, the enemies becoming Middle Eastern. Yeah, but again, is that like causing violence toward those people, or is that just like an expression of cultural anxieties? Like, which direction does the causal link go, if there is one at all? Sam says, I watched a documentary about the Germans who worked and lived in the town part of the camps. Their only complaint was the smell. And to be clear, they knew it was the smell of Jews in the ovens. Yeah. John says there's never been any evidence of a link between media and violence. Countless studies, but no evidence of a causal relationship. Yeah. I don't know if participating in simulated anything causes you to do that. It's like how, okay, this is a very clippable part of the show. I'm sure that people have seen, like let's say just the concept of like a sex doll that is shaped like a young person, you know? A lot of people feel a lot of intense feelings about the idea of someone using one of those dolls, because I think that a lot of people make this assumption that simulating that experience would be more likely to cause physical harm to an actual child. I actually think it's the opposite, where being able to fully exercise some kind of fantasy element, like insofar as you're not actually doing it, if it's a doll or whatever, I would actually be, I would predict that that would cause less harm in the real world. Like if you can exercise your fantasies in a healthy and safe way, I think that's less likely for there to be harm. So if I'm like, I'm going to blow off some steam and shoot people in Call of Duty, I think that's going to make it less likely that I'm going to pick up my gun and go shoot people for real. But, I don't know if those studies have shown like an inverse relationship. I haven't looked into it in a long time. I just know that generally speaking, there is less of a causal link than people tend to believe. Like it feels intuitively like, yeah, shooting women in the video game makes you more likely to shoot women in real life, but it just isn't playing out that way. Katie says, I did an art piece as a senior that was about how video games don't make you violent, but it makes you less likely to feel impacted by violence when you see it in the world. They can artificially age your perspective and see war as a cost of doing business. Stardew Valley made me want to turn children into birds. I've never done that. I've never gotten rid of my children on Stardew Valley. I don't know if I can. I don't think I could. I think I emotionally don't think I can handle it. Mersh says there has been research that soldiers exposed to this type of media are less inhibited in shooting and aiming to unalive. Wouldn't say that it causes it, but there is a definite difference in recruiting people who've never held a gun or fired it at anything. Interesting. I guess the military is the place where you would do it. Needle exchange for violent gamers. I don't know why that got me, but it did. Oh my god, my face is so itchy. I need to take a shower later today. I haven't been doing a good job taking care of my skin. Good night, John. Listen, I was not sure if we were going to have much conversation after the whole maid thing, but look at us. We've managed to pull another 45 minutes out of this conversation. Genuinely, 45 minutes ago, I was like, I maybe want to get offline. maybe after I move, I should just plan to have Sundays be like 1 8-hour stream and then don't stream again in the week. Just one 6 to 8 hour stream where in the halfway point I take a break and like eat something. We would need to have content prepared. Like at least right now, I can just kind of shoot the shit for 4 hours and then be like, okay, bye. But if you go much longer than that, it's more of a stretch. Or I guess if we're only streaming once a week, then the news will accumulate and then we can just do it once a week. I'm still trying to figure out what the schedule needs to be. I'm like, and it depends on if I'm like okay, if I stream 2 4-hour streams a week, am I gonna make more or less money than if I only stream once for a slightly longer stream per week versus like how much time am I not putting toward editing my videos? I don't know. Again, I definitely got less done today, or sorry, less done this weekend than I was expecting, but I am getting closer to being done with the edit that's due this week. And then I have a clear idea of what the next 2 projects are going to be, so I'll hopefully be able to knock those out a little bit faster. Sam M says, I've read some stuff by psychologists treating people who were in jail because of sex crimes involving children. They pretty much said the treatment involves tailoring the existing attraction toward older people. Fair. I feel like this is an area where there has been very little study. And I'm, I don't want to like ingratiate myself to the topic, but it is interesting looking at paraphilias and like which behavioral patterns are reinforced where. I guess it's too late for me to do an advent calendar now, huh? If you were doing an advent calendar, what should it be of? I think if I had like a different pickle every day or a different pickled something every day, like maybe sometimes it's olives and other times it's like a pickled egg or whatever. A pickle advent calendar. I am actually going to look that up right now. I know that was a hard left turn. I just was on my YouTube front page and saw something about an advent calendar. Pickle advent calendar. Pickle Patch Gift Co. 12 days of pickles. Well, I want 25 days of pickles. 12 days of pickles. It's apparently a real thing. I mean, I feel like chocolate is a classic. Chocolate advent calendar. I've seen liquor advent calendars where it's like a little shot of liquor for each day. That's cool. I'm trying not to drink alcohol right now because I just got like 2 very, very sensitive piercings and I want them to heal. So I'm trying not to drink alcohol. It's like, I want these to heal and not hurt anymore because I don't like how much it hurts. A jigsaw puzzle one? Ooh! Oh, but if it was a daily jigsaw puzzle, then they would have to be really small jigsaw puzzles. I love jigsaw puzzles, but I am not going to waste my time with one that's less than 1,000 pieces. It's kind of how I feel about a puzzle. I love jigsaw puzzles, but I'm not going to waste my time for one. Tea? Oh, a tea advent calendar? Oh, that sounds yummy. Oh. I'm just going to look up like cheap advent calendar ideas. A Stardew Valley inspired advent calendar on Etsy was the first result. Is it too late? Is it too late for me to get one to do an advent calendar? Oh, do the smaller puzzles come together and form one larger puzzle? Because that would be cool. That would be neat. I'm just looking at the front page of YouTube. Like, okay. Crystal advent calendar. You get a different rock in each section. Actually, that's fucking cool. I would definitely be interested in buying that. Mostly because I like having a lot of different cool rocks. Yeah, there's several of those. Geez, Google knows that I'm a witch, huh? Yeah, tea advent calendar. Boba advent calendar. Just gonna look straight up at Amazon. Okay. Mega science advent calendar. It's like a different science experiment every day. Yeah, classic chocolate. Yeah, okay, I see the jigsaw puzzle. Okay, cool. An advent calendar with glow-in-the-dark stuff. That's nifty. Rubber duckies. Okay. Rubber ducky advent calendar. There's a lot of crystal advent calendars for some fucking reason. Yeah, boba, right? Boba mochi advent calendar. Ooh. There's several rubber duck ones. Slime advent calendar. Let's see. Dick's advent calendar. Yeah, we wish. Adult. Let me look up adult advent calendars. There's something about Fallout. Unusual advent calendar for adults. Yeah, there's a tea one. Cork figurines. Okay. A sexy advent calendar. That's what I want. I would like you to show me a sexy advent calendar. Ooh, actually? Actually? This is it says advent calendar for couples. 24 romantic activities for couples to celebrate the Christmas season. Oh my. Buy this and then have to catch up later in the week. I've seen some that have a new piece to a nativity scene every day, but the nativity scenes are unconventional, like Futurama and stuff. Nice. Naughty advent calendar from Etsy. Yeah, there's ones that are basically like you do a different sex thing each day. I do kind of want one. I think that would be fun. Sex toy advent calendar from Love Honey. Hold on. No, I don't want the cookies. Can you keep them? I don't want the cookies. Thank you. Yeah, so apparently you can also get advent calendars that's like, okay, this one is 12 Days of Romance Sex Toy Advent Calendar 2024. 50 Shades of Grey Pleasure Overload 10 Days of Play gift set. So yeah, if you're willing to spend like over $100 for a collection of like pretty cheap sex toys just to try a different one each day, then cool, yeah. That's fun. Ooh, there's a massager. There's just not like a vibrator, but just like an actual like with the balls that you actually use to like press on someone's back. Ooh, that's exciting. I'm not showing you any of this. It's got to be torture. That's fun though. I like the idea. I might not do it this year, but I'm gonna float the idea to my partner of like, can we get a sexy advent calendar next year? And we have to do the sexy thing. Because it's probably going to be hard to maintain that level of vigor for the rest of this month as I am moving. I think like a beer advent calendar. Oh, that would be so yummy. Like a different beer every day. Ooh, yes. Halloween, Christmas, scary doll advent calendar kids. Okay, well, it's good to know that I have options there. Okay, I don't need this Viktor Frankl anymore. Thank you. I'm done with that. Elizabeth Báthory, H.H. Holmes, Oregon population. I opened so many links during this show, and sometimes I just got to go through and like delete all of them. Paella, that's from way early in the stream. Paella. $100 for a dozen toys. Yeah, they're selling it like, it was like $119 for one of the sets was 10 toys and a different set was 12. So yeah, I mean like $120 for it's like $10 per toy. You know that they're going to be cheap ass toys, like a cheap ass bullet vibrator. But if you're like just trying to spice things up, then that's fun. It's a fun little thing. Man, I'm really excited about moving. I'm like, we're going to move into a place that has approximately the same amount of space as this, but we're going to be a lot smarter about not having a bunch of shit everywhere, probably. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, so, man, what advent calendar should I get? That's a great question. Does anybody want to donate $20 so that I can get an advent calendar? A 45-minute video about the history of beer from Extra History. I would totally watch that. YouTube has a lot of weird recommendations of stuff that I would not like to watch, but sometimes, very rarely, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to click that later. Hello, Max. You have arrived. The 0.33 liter, I assume that's what that says. Beer crates in Germany have 24 bottles. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be like a different beer, Max, we were just talking about advent calendars. Unreasonably proud of these cherry spatulas. Ooh, yeah, you posted a picture in Feed the Dragon. Lord Byron is working on shaping some spatulas out of cherry wood. Spatula. Spatula. Love that. Looks good. Love the guitar also. Just kind of chilling in the background there. But yes. I forgot to get one before today, and my 6-year-old is disappointed. Yeah, I only just now considered that I could get an advent calendar, and I was like, ooh, there's ones that it's like ooh, a naughty, sexy stuff going on, I like the idea of doing that, like a sexy advent calendar. But you've got your classic like chocolates, maybe a liquor one, rubber duckies. Apparently, there's a bunch. Later, Mersh. Have fun out there in the world. I'm just about done here, too. I've just about said everything I can say for today. But yeah, advent calendar. Apparently, like, it's very common now to do rocks, like crystals, minerals, and fossils. Advent calendar. Rubber duckies. There's numerous rubber ducky ones on Amazon. Science experiment, mega science, advent calendar. There's lots of cool ones. Definitely nothing that I'm interested in buying right this moment, but I do kind of like it. Anyway, I think that I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So thank you everybody for hanging out. Thanks for chilling. Thanks for contributing to the conversation. The classic one is paper, no gifts. Gifts are extremely recent and silly. 25 gifts before Christmas even happens? Absurd. I do like the idea that you get like maybe like one chocolate per day as a way of like pacing yourself. Or like you get to try a bunch of different liquors or liqueurs or whatever. Or yeah, a tea one where you have a different tea every day. Consumerism run amok. True. All right, my dears. Well, it's been a great time hanging out with you today, and I am planning to see you on Wednesday, unless something else happens between now and then, but probably not. And then I'm planning on having my video up this week. I'm hoping before Friday I have my video up, and Victim of the Day Advent Calendar. Each day has another bullet. No! Gihariel suggests, because they're a little bit behind, that I could check out a video called Ethics of Extreme Horror, which looks at ethics in written horror. Neat. Anyway, okay, so yeah, so my plan for this week, the video about the Dragon Review series intro will be out Friday at the latest. I probably will be on Takis this week. I may or may not be on Takis, but I probably will be. And then stream on Wednesday, and that's pretty much what the week is looking like. So thanks for hanging out, everybody. Appreciate you. Much love. And I will see you in the future. I'm not stealing Tim's sign off.